And we are live with the Bullshit Busters podcast number 2. And today we're going to be going over the major topic for this episode is Nintendo games are not kiddy. But before we do, we're going to hit on some bullshit that's cropped up during the week that needs to be busted. Busted. This bullshit needs to be busted. Why? Because we're getting tired of people. We're getting tired of people saying this. We're getting tired of people talking about this. So first, let's see. We'll let my guest my co-host Triple M go with his topic. Shoot, Triple M.
Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Triple M, artist who enjoys games. Now, let's get on the topic that I regrettably left out last time. Now, you might remember that I was discussing about Ubisoft's PR disasters that is Assassin's Creed Unity with the whole no female character to play in that game. Well, I wanted to compare that with Nintendo's PR nightmare with Tamagotchi Life. Now, I would say this: when the whole crisis of that you can't create a gay character in that game, or let's just say Nintendo tried to patch Tamagotchi Life and excluded that. Well, it turns out that it was actually a bug. Now, I will say that if Nintendo actually said that in the beginning that that aspect of the game was actually a glitch or a bug that will entirely break your game, I would actually give Nintendo a pass on that, but
they did.
They did the very first time. The very first time they said that. They really said that very first statement.
That was the first thing they said. They said they patched it because people got mad that that Nintendo was. They were like saying, well, actually, it was because of a bug. Because what happened is that you could migrate your characters from the previous Tamagotchi Life in Japan to the new one, and like your Miis and stuff. And what happened is that when people did that, it randomized the Miis, so you wound up with some couples that were two dudes, but it wasn't like you couldn't intentionally do it. And people upload videos where they had taken a female character and dressed them up in dudes' clothes, which is something you can do. You can cross-dress people in Tamagotchi Life, and you had male dudes hanging out with other dudes, and you had female characters dressed up as male characters getting married to male characters. But the thing is that in Tamagotchi Life, one of the major events you can do is you get into a relationship and you have a kid. And the thing is that like it works in the real world, you actually have to have a man and a woman have a baby. Because I'm all for equal rights, but I don't think a man can squat out a baby. So when a man can do that, then I would understand how Nintendo is being like. If that happened in the real world, if an actual gendered man gave birth to a baby, then I'd say, wow, Nintendo's being anti-gay, anti-homosexual, anti-lesbian. But that's not the case. So they were just like, it was a bug. They patched it. And it kept people from it fixed that thing because it was a game-breaking glitch. People's systems were crashing. Now, did Nintendo did they handle it as well as they could have? No, but it's not like it's look Nintendo, like they said, they aren't trying to make a statement. But for those of you who think that Nintendo is anti-gay, all I'm gonna say is this, and this touches on our later our later topic. There's a character in no, there's a character. There's a character.
Yeah, I know where you're going with this. The reason
There's a
why
character. Yeah, there's a character in Nintendo's pantheon named Birdo. Birdo is a cross-dresser. Birdo is a pink dude with a bow in his hair. But guess who his partner is? Yoshi.
Yoshi.
Now it has been established that Yoshi is male. Okay, which is kind of weird because he lays eggs, but whatever. Okay.
I would say there could be males and female Yoshis, or they could.
All I'm saying is this: they call Yoshi a he. Okay. Yoshi's partner is Birdo. Birdo is also a he. Okay. And they've been together since Mario 64. I mean, Mario Tennis 64. Okay. So, you know, for you people who keep on saying Nintendo is not it doesn't like gay people, look, they've had a gay character since before any other video game console manufacturer. So get off their backs. You know, Yoshi and Birdo have been out of the closet for years now. Except I only have one question: who's the catcher and who's the pitcher? Because Birdo spits eggs and Yoshi lays eggs, but I mean I don't know who's the dom and who's the sub in that relationship because it's really weird. But other than that, I would say that Sony, I mean, I'm sorry. I would say that Nintendo has. I mean, they make games for everyone, and they try to make their stuff as genderless and as harmless as humanly possible. Even though, if you scratch below the surface, it's not so genderless and harmless. But continue with Ubisoft just flubbing everything. Triple M.
Right. Well, if Nintendo said that first, then I'm kind of asking myself now, why was the all of the anti-gay Nintendo propaganda kept popping up even after that statement? It just doesn't make any sense. But I will say this: that Nintendo actually at least tried to rectify into saying that next time we make another Tamagotchi Life game, we'll include gay character ways to create gay characters. And I'm like, okay, props for that. Hell, you dodged that bullet. Now, I was like, after the Assassin's Creed Unity thing, I'm like, Ubisoft, why didn't you take a pitch from Nintendo dealing with these kind of circumstances? But I guess we'll never know. Anyway, now on to another PR disaster that I really wanted to talk about last time, but off of my blunderness, I skipped it, and it comes with it's Slightly Mad Studios. Now,
go ahead.
I will say this: when that first tweet from Namco said about the PS4 and Xbox One will come out this year, and the Wii U will have the Wii U will be at 2015. Yeah, not many people really like that, especially. To be honest, I was actually pissed about that, and the way it was tweeted, it was like Namco was basically belittling Wii U owners, at least to my point of view. And actually, Francis was pointing out that same thing. But afterwards, Slightly Mad Studios tried to shift the blame onto themselves. Now, after that, I tried to dig in this whole little fiasco here, and I came up to NintendoEnthusiast.com with their topic about it. I looked through the comments and I saw this one. Well, before I go for that, I had this I had this idea that quite possibly Slightly Mad Studios might actually be right about this. That when they and that was um, before they wanted to do the PS4 and the Xbox One version. They were really going for the Wii U, the PS3, I mean the PC and the PS3 and the 360. After that, the PS3 and the 360 were cut off, and just the Wii U and the PC. I, my guess is, I think after they actually found out that it was really much easier to port Project Cars for Xbox One and PS4 than the Wii U. I would actually say that might possibly be the case, but the way that Slightly Mad Studios tweeted their take on it, I will say it it comes out a bit uh, premature, and to be honest, a little bit of it raises some eyebrows. Now, at that point in time, I was like, Mad Studios, you could have done this. The fact of the matter that these quote shenanigans has been done before by third parties. I thought Slightly Mad Studios would go would actually go a much more hand-on approach, as in really basically tell we owners from uh, um, point blank and saying, yes, we basically caught ourselves with our pants down when we realized that the PS4 and the Xbox One was actually much easier to port than on the Wii U. So therefore, it actually would take a lot more time um, to port Project Cars on the Wii U. Now, if they actually said that, I mean, in a way that everyone can understand, I'd be okay with it. But then after that, um, that that tweet that Slightly Mad Studios posted, it was deleted.
The tweet from Slightly Mad or the tweet from Bando Namkai where sorry, Bamco or Namdai, where they were really happy. They were like, the games were the PS4 and Xbox One coming this year, but if you want the Wii U version, it'll come out next year. Yay! That dude was way too excited.
Yeah. Well, actually, that one stayed. It's the I just said tweet. Actually, it was a post on Facebook that got deleted,
Yeah.
and I was like, at that time, I was like, okay, Slightly Mad Studios, you had your chance to rectify the situation, and you know, people are going to really be pissed off on this now because you basically said you know what, fuck it, take it whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
We're done. And now I went I went to Nintendo Enthusiast and saw them making news about it, and I saw this comment in them. It was by Micah's replying to Heaven Shitman 1. I can't believe it. Yeah, this is what he replied, and I quote: First, it's not Kickstarter, it's SMS, or Slightly Mad Studios' own platform, WMD. The difference here is that the people that funded the development actually get a percentage of the profit commensurate with their original stake. It's also false that Wii U followers put up the cash to get it made. A lot of different people including some Wii U owners, I'm sure, put up money, but the vast majority are PC gamers. In fact, a small group of 11 PC gamers, of which I happen to be one, put up nearly 1 million euros towards the dev cost. The not very good business model you refer to is false, since the vast majority of sales will be on platforms other than Wii U. I doubt we do much better than break even on the Wii U, but it was worth doing just to get the game on a platform that doesn't see this kind of game. Ever. We need to think about whether or not to bother finishing the Wii U version considering the attitude of the community. Now, quote end. Now, this basically is telling me that they might there's a big chance that they might actually cut off Project Cars altogether on the Wii U, and I'm like, very classy, very classy. And the thing is, this whole thing started just because a tweet by Bandai Namco, and to be honest, they're the ones at fault for having this whole fiasco started, because it shouldn't have been brought up that way.
I would normally agree with you except for one thing. They stopped working on the Wii U version of this game like a month and a half ago, which was well before they announced that this deal with Bandai Namco. Maybe the deal was signed by then, but some stuff had to go through. They want to put this on the PS4 and Xbox One. Kudos to them. But the thing is that racer games aren't exactly a dime a dozen on those systems, but they exist. I mean, they're going up against two multi-plats that have more hype behind them than Project Cars. Okay, going up on those systems. I don't think they're going to sell that well. I don't think they're going to sell that well on the PS4 and Xbox One. This game is going to sell really well, relatively well on the PC, because that's where it's going to be able to push the graphical fidelity. Although, why would you want to play a racing game on a PC unless you have the right, like the racing wheel and all that stuff on a PC? I'll never understand, because playing a racing game on a keyboard with a mouse is damn near impossible. But
oh yes, I have my fair share back in the
yeah,
day.
but and the Wii U. I mean, because the Wii U has no racing sims, none. Okay, Need for Speed Most Wanted, which is more arcadey, but there's no actual racing sim on the system. And for them to delay it, I mean, they're harming a potential sales base, and that's their business. I mean, look, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
This has gone from a must buy or either a Christmas buy to a meh. I might get it. I might get it if something else that doesn't grab my attention comes out.
And the thing, you would think, even Active Gamer Life brought this up, that what you just said, they're gonna PS4 and Xbox One owners are definitely going to pick Forza or Gran Turismo instead of Project Cars. So I'm like, with all of this situation just went like this, I'm like, Slightly Mad Studios, are you really that buffoon to do that?
Well, I mean, it's not a smart. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and all of this could have been a saving grace if they actually, posted properly. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I guess. Well, I mean, basically, I mean, we can come to the conclusion that it's all a bunch of bullshit. It's bullshit from Bandai Namco. It's bullshit from. It's bullshit from Slightly Mad. And this game has gone from a will buy to a might buy. If nothing else better comes along. Like, I mean, I really was gonna get it. Like, look. with Ubisoft, I was so going to get Rayman Legends because my birthday is February 7th. That game came out like the same day as my birthday. And I was like, man, I was gonna so get this game. Like this, yeah, it was the same day. I was gonna get it um, last year. I was so gonna get that game. I was so gonna get it. And then, I mean, they pulled that bullshit. I'm like, I'm still not. I still have not gotten that game. The price keeps on going down. I'm like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it till it's $9.99 in the bargain bin.
Steam sales.
No, I'm gonna get it on the Wii U because that's the definitive version. But like there's something. Like here's the thing. Some games are really good on PC, like isometric RPGs, good on PC. Action games, not good on PC. I'm sorry. I need a controller in my hand. Okay, I cannot deal with an action game where I have to use intricate button presses to do combos on a PC. I can't do it.
And
So what?
ladies and gentlemen, we have a controller from Microsoft that can actually work with a PC game.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. All of Microsoft's controllers. Well, the Xbox one you need to download a patch for it, but the Xbox X360 controller, even the generic ones, you can just plug that sucker in and playing your gaming. So I don't understand what the problem is, even though I really don't like the Xbox 360 controller. So I guess we'll move on to my topic before we.
Before you move to your topic, let me just say one thing.
Yeah,
Actually,
go
I
ahead.
got two more topics, but let me just say this. Ladies and gentlemen, when Mr. Red Fox said that the bullshit is not going to end, they will keep popping up, he was right. Because we got at least two more bullshit that popped up last week, which it was just a freaking facepalm for me, which is EA's Peter Moore saying that this age of right now is the golden age of gaming.
I was gonna get to that. That's gonna be our third topic. But I wanted to get into this one too because this is Sony bullshit.
Oh,
it's related to this. It's related to this. It's related to this. As everyone with a brain can tell you, the Vita is not doing too well. As a matter of fact, it's in the casket and being lowered into the ground, but Sony fanboys refuse to believe it. But it's dying, if not dead. And basically, Andrew House recently wrote in an interview said that the Vita is doing fine. Because, that's what they say.
Fine for them. Fine.
The Vita, no, he said that the Vita is doing well in Japan, but the reason you can't find one in the U.S. is because because the demand is so high. Now, after I promptly pulled myself off the ground from laughing so damn hard, I then basically I knew immediately that this was a PR bullshit statement because look, the Vita is not doing well, okay? And it's not because, listen, okay? I've been gaming on handheld since I got my first Game Boy when I was like 7 years old, okay? So that's 21 years of me playing Nintendo handhelds and other handhelds. Like, I got my first non-Nintendo handheld when I was like 13. So I've seen a lot of handhelds come and go, come and go. And I've seen handhelds fall. All of the handhelds that have gone up against Nintendo, at least most of them, had these three things going for them. They were more technologically advanced than what Nintendo's handheld was at the time. They were more expensive than Nintendo's handheld at the time. And their library was just a mess, okay? The library for the systems was a mess. The only handheld that I've ever seen that went up against a Nintendo handheld and actually seemed like it was really gaining steam and making a profit was the Bandai Namco Wonder Swan. And the reason that one did well is because it was made by the same guy who made the Game Boy.
Ladies and
So,
gentlemen,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, give respect to Gunpei Yokoi, the father of the
Gunpei,
Game Boy.
Gunpei Yokoi, the dude who did Withered technology and, used some old technology in new ways that's cheap and easy to use, and you understand. Which is
And
which is why Nintendo's handhelds dominate, because they're cheap to make, they turn a profit quickly. They don't sell. If they sell for a loss, it's not for a very long time. And Nintendo supports their handhelds with dynamite first party, second party, and third party content.
and, let me go further with that. People think um, that Nintendo's way of using specs. They say every time they make something, it's last gen just because of specs. Now, I have a problem with that because first off, yes, for a handheld device, you really can't make it. You really can't let it be really be very pricey. That in the U.S. and Japan, they might get into it, but outside of that, and especially in third world countries,
Yeah,
who can't even who can't even afford even the original Game Boy itself.
yeah,
I'm I'm surprised not many people are actually thinking outside of the U.S. or Japan. And I think I should probably put Europe in there too. But outside of those three countries or those three continents, how the heck do you expect that a product to sell if it's too pricey?
Well, actually, I'll take it a step further than that. It's not just the consumers. It's the people who have to put content on this damn thing. Like, okay, in order to get decent visuals out of the Vita, you have to spend about as much money as you would spend to make a PS3 games. Here's the problem. There are third parties that have difficulty gathering up the funds to make a PS3 game. Okay? Like, there are companies that have to do all types of interesting accounting in order to make a game on the PS3, right? So for someone to sit there and say, "Oh, well, it's got these great, you've got this ultra powerful handheld that you have to spend all this money on just to make the game look decent," and then add in all the other bullshit that's on top of that, like proprietary memory that costs an arm and a leg. You have to sell like a kidney in order to get it, and 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 then like a library that has a dearth of high quality first party content. And I know what some people are going to say, Tearaway, what about Tearaway and Gravity Rush? Look, if I can beat a game in 6 hours, 8 hours, especially if it's a handheld, that's some bullshit. Okay? Like, let me put it this way. That a 6 or 8 hour game was acceptable during the Game Boy era. Okay? Like, if you had a 6 or 8 hour game during the Game Boy era, that was acceptable. Now, there were quite a few games on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color that were not 6 or 8 hours, that you could spend hundreds of hours playing, like Pokemon, any of the Dragon Quest games, any of the Final Fantasy Saga games, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. I mean, there's tons of games you could sink tons of hours into and get your money's worth out of it. But for someone to tell me that this so-called, because fanboys like to use this all the time, next gen gaming, a game that I can beat in one sitting, get out of my face, But anyway, back to what Andrew House said. He said that the reason that it was difficult to find the Vita was because it was just so hard. It was selling out. Now, here's how I know that this is bullshit. Okay, last month or like a month and a half ago, Borderlands 2 for the Vita dropped. And there was an uptick in Vita sales, but I mean, it wasn't burning up the charts even then, okay?
Ouch.
Because it wasn't, okay? And then in Japan, the Vita's biggest game of the year, the biggest game coming to the Vita this year dropped, Freedom Wars, okay? Freedom Wars catapulted the Vita to #2 after under the 3DS, obviously. Freedom Wars has sold a little over 250,000 units, and it's on 3 damn consoles. It's on the the PS Vita, the PS3, and the PS4. Um, Whereas the biggest game to drop thus far for the 3DS is Yokai Watch. Yokai Watch has sold 1.2 million over 3 days, probably above that now. So a week, over 1.2 million. So basically, it's outsold its competition, Freedom Wars, by 80%. Okay. No, wait, no. Sorry. I'm thinking in the wrong percentage. It has sold. It has literally sold 100 and no, it sold 400 and it sold 500% more than Freedom Wars. Okay, that is embarrassing. Now, of course, the install base for the 3DS in Japan is much bigger. And here's what someone on Player Essence was talking about, how the Vita is not underperforming in Japan. Yes, it is, because here's the thing, okay? Every time Nintendo drops a big high-profile game like Tomodachi Life or Pokemon X and Y or the original Yokai Watch or Puzzle and Dragons, there's this huge uptick in sales, right?
Right.
They've been dropping bombs like this for the last 2 years on the 3DS. The Vita gets 1 or 2 really big games a year. That's it. You know, and a whole bunch of these little like RPG titles that maybe like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people will buy. And these are the people who already had a damn Vita, okay? so
Yeah.
So I'm laughing my ass off when people tell me that the Vita isn't dead. It's dead. Get over it, okay?
You know what? I I will say this. When Alpha Omega Sin brought up that clip about why he is saying that Vita is not dead, I would you know what? I would actually agree with him. But I will say this. I'm not sure if you actually saw my comment about it, but this is what basically what I said. Yeah, I agree with Alpha Magazine. Only problem is I'm seeing that it's basically the Vita is basically on the deathbed with a on a life support system that Sony is just around the corner waiting to plug
To pull
that.
that plug, yeah.
Yeah. Now
Well,
going back about the developers would find it too costly to make a Vita game. Yeah, I'm not sure if you actually saw that video of that extra credits made about why the Vita failed.
yeah, I did. That's where I got that information from. But then I actually looked it up, and it's like you look at the I looked at I have a friend that I made when I spent a semester abroad in Japan when I was in college, and we're still friends this day. We send each other emails, we talk sometimes. It's great. But I asked him, I was like, look, um, how much does it cost to make a game like around like a just and not like a AAA game, just like a normal like downloadable title, like downloadable only game for the 3DS versus the PS Vita, because he works in he makes games. So I asked him, and even though he doesn't make games for those systems, he knows people who does. So you're generally talking about in American terms, it costs like like to make a game like a Metal Max, which is a budget title basically in Japan. A Metal Max for the 3DS, you're talking maybe 1.5, $2 million. And if they sell like 100, if they sell 500,000 copies or even 300,000 copies, they've made profit. Okay, for a $40 game. Okay, roughly speaking, plus tax, whatever. It costs like 3, 4, 5 million to make a decent budget game for the Vita. To make a high quality budget game for the Vita that looks really good, like Freedom Wars, you need to sell like 1 million, 2 million, 3 million copies. And that's just, I mean, that's, you can't, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Bloody hell.
I mean, that is just, it's a joke. I mean, and for people to keep on telling me that the Vita, oh, the Vita, and then to say, well, competition. Look, competition is very important in business, but fair competition is important in business, not unfair competition. Okay, let me give you this analogy. Okay, because I've been on both sides of the competition route. I used to play basketball and volleyball in high school, and our basketball team sucked. Our volleyball team was awesome. I've been on the receiving end of an epic ass whooping. Our basketball team lost 2-76 in a game. That was 4 quarters of us getting our ass kicked. And you know what? They were in a totally different league than we were. We were at the bottom, they were at the top, and they kicked our ass royally. Okay? They beat us like we stole something. I know how the Vita feels. Okay? I know how the Vita feels.
I know how Brazil feels.
What, those people crying because they there's no crying in sports, but I digress. I digress. But anyway, those people who were sitting there crying about that stuff, I mean, look, I understand fair competition. Okay, let me put it this way: back in the day when it was just Sega versus Nintendo, that was fair competition. Games came to both consoles. They were equal. They were different, but each was a complete experience. Content wasn't exactly missing. If something wasn't in one game, it would be unique to that game, and they'd have something to make up for it in the other system. Now, you know, we've got competition that's not fair. It's not fair that Microsoft can write a check and get a game made for them, and the game still sells like shit, and the only people who make any money is the third party that got the check, that got their game money added. That's not fair, okay? And if the system was working all that well, you'd see less third parties firing people, but that's not the case. It seems like every time we turn around, we've got third parties firing each other. We've got people getting fired, studios getting closed. I mean, but this takes me back to what I was saying. The Vita, it was not fair competition for the 3DS. If Sony had actually put some high-quality games on the system, and I'm not saying Sony could have. I mean, they tried. They made their the Nintendogs ripoff, and that flopped. I remember they were like, well, what's the difference between yours and Nintendo's? They're like, well, ours you can put clothes on the dogs. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. With that bullshit. Because, I mean, really, like, when people tell me that Sony's innovative, I'm like, what are you smoking? Seriously, what are you smoking?
It should be like this. Oh, Nintendo's got this, but our version looks better.
Yeah, I mean, Sony is not innovative. Sony hasn't been innovative since the CD Walkman. Okay, because here's the thing, the original Sony Walkman used cassettes, but the thing is that the cassette tape was invented. The technology for the cassette tape was invented by Philips. Okay. So really, Sony was just taking the next logical step. Okay, people want to listen to their music while they're on the go. The Walkman. Okay, that's pretty innovative. Then they come out with the CD Walkman, so you no longer have to go through all that shit trying to get to the song you want. You just skip right to it. But then they went to, Sony hasn't been innovative since then. I mean, people are like, well, 3D TVs, hell, there's been 3D in movies since the 70s, so That's not exactly what I call innovative. 4K TVs, oh, that's nice if you have $50,000 to spend. I mean, $50,000 when they first came out, 4K TVs were $50,000. Now they're like 37. So either way, it's like you can either buy this 4K TV or a new car. I don't know.
You know what? I'd rather much have a new car.
I'd rather have the money personally. I'd rather just have the cash money, and I take 3,000 of that money, put it into a high interest CD, and let it roll. And then I take 7,000 and go on a vacation. That's what I do, but that's just me. But anyway, no, I mean, Sony, the Vita. I mean, the Vita could have been a really decent like alternative system, because I mean the games that are on it aren't bad games. It's just the thing is that Sony. It's not if you're counting on third parties to carry your system, you're screwed, because I mean that's what's happened to Sony and Microsoft right now. Microsoft's first party games aren't coming out, so they aren't making money on anything that's coming to their system. I mean, the highest selling systems on Xbox One and the PS4 right now is Battlefield and Call of Duty. Okay, so the only people making money on their systems are EA and Activision, not Microsoft and Sony. So when people tell me, "Oh, look at those sales," I'm like, it's not just about sales. It's about where the money's going. Okay, yeah. But that was just some bullshit that needed to be busted. The Vita's dead. The Vita. Listen. I have a Game Boy, a Game Boy Color, a Game Boy Advanced, a DS, and a 3DS, and I have like 4 or 5 Game & Watches. Okay. But I also have like a Wonder Swan, a Game Gear, a Nomad, a PC Engine Portable. I mean, I have quite a few dead handhelds. Get over it. The Vita is dead. Okay, just look. Go get yourself. If you don't have a 3DS, go get a 3DS. Don't trade in your Vita. There's some good games on it, but I mean, if you're expecting a lot of support on it, don't. Okay, you're not gonna get it.
Well,
which I guess leads to your topic. Go ahead.
I would like to have an intermission. Now, back then, I saw events that. Yeah, I have to bring. I really have to bring this back, because I saw Event Status video about about Reggie speaking about Twitch streaming on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at first, when I saw Event Status was talking about it, I'm like, wait a minute, Event Status, it seems like you are kind of misinformed on this. And you know what? I was like, let me check the article, click the link, read it, and boy, do I see why. Now, I'm going to read this from /gear, and I quote: "It's not fun to watch video games with Twitch. Apparently, so says Nintendo this week after lighting up E3 2014 with a load of games that otherwise give great confidence to its audience. This comes immediately after Sony let loose a new update for their PlayStation camera made specifically for streaming in the same fashion Twitch does, and right after E3 2014 was streamed in its entirety by Twitch. It was in a chat with Polygon that Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé let it be known that Twitch is not fun. "We don't think streaming 30 minutes of gameplay by itself is a lot of fun," said Fils-Aimé, "but we're looking to do a lot of great things with Twitch. instead of allowing straight streaming in a way, shape, or form with Twitch on Nintendo's Wii U, it's apparent that Nintendo is aiming for a more Apple-esque control of the situation. Fizame suggested that only certain types of gameplay are interesting to watch. The Smash Invitational held this year at Nokia Theater, for example, Fizame suggested that we love to have stream because that's where you are able to see how these players perform. The moves, the make, you can learn something. In other words, if Nintendo approves, it can be streamed. That last paragraph, I really gotta call bullshit on this. If Nintendo approves, it can be streamed. So basically, this author is giving me the impression that people that uses Twitch for streaming video games, and especially if it's Nintendo games, I'm like, so what? Even if they buy, even if they buy, no, I forgot, that screen cap thing, they can't use it because Nintendo will shut them down. And I'm like, really, really? That means the whole Twitch plays Pokemon should have been shut down since its inception.
Yeah, I don't, but
I'm
they
not
didn't.
gonna, yeah, and I'm not hearing it in a way. Even if you have a screen cap, you can still stream your games.
Yeah. Well,
So
I
I'm
mean,
like,
well, go ahead.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, I can forgive event status for making that video, making that discussion about this whole numbskull of an article. Sorry, Chris Burns, but I have to call you a numbskull because you're basically perpetuating or putting words in Reggie's mouth that he basically didn't say. It's on Nintendo. So if you don't uh okay, let's say if you don't have connection with Nintendo or you're just a consumer, you can still stream your gameplay footage.
Yeah.
So yeah, that I had to get that off my chest because this is
Well,
practically misinformation.
well, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, I'm going to be frank with you. I'm going to call bullshit on people who are getting mad about Nintendo saying that it's not fun to watch people play video games via Twitch. I'm going to let you on a little secret, okay? We all played video games with our friends when we were kids. And what happened when we played a single-player game? You'd watch that bastard play the game, right? Because they were really good at it. Was that fun? Hell no. Because here's the thing, okay? Here's what Twitch is, okay, from what I've seen of it. And yes, I have watched a lot of stuff on Twitch, okay? If you have 100 people streaming games on Twitch, 90 of them are people who suck at playing that game, okay? I'm sorry, okay? Watching them play that game is painful for a lot of those people. They're playing it wrong, okay? If you don't believe me, go on Twitch right now and go look up any, like, Shovel Knight. People are probably streaming that. You'll find quite a few people playing that game badly. Okay? Dying a lot. Dying a lot, using the wrong items for the wrong thing, jumping in the hole. I mean, just people who can't fucking play games in the first place. But get that out the way. So 90% of the stuff going on Twitch, gameplay streaming wise, are people playing the game badly. Okay, the 10% left. Let's say 9 of those people. Let's say half of those 10 people are speed running. Let me tell you something about speed running a game. Some games are built for speed running, like Mega Man or like a Mario game. If you're speed running an RPG or The Legend of Zelda, shame on you. Okay, let me tell you something. RPGs and The Legend of Zelda are meant to be savored like a fine meal, a bite at a time. Just really enjoy the moment, the feeling, the feel. If you're beating it in like 17 minutes, what the hell's wrong with you? It's like making love to a beautiful woman. It's not something to be done as quickly as humanly possible. It's meant to be enjoyed and savored. You're
Yeah,
playing a great game. I mean, you need to enjoy it. But that's you know you need to have as much fun as the game's having with you. You can't just finish it as quickly as humanly possible. That's terrible. But anyway, so yeah, and then like out of the five left, you might get like a few. It might be people who are good at playing the game, but you watch them play, and it's like I'd rather just play the game myself. You know, I mean,
yeah.
Twitch. I mean, I understand for people who, since YouTube has been really clamping down on people streaming stuff, they migrated over to Twitch. But really, I mean, Twitch TV isn't what I would call. It's not what I would call like the ultimate end-all be-all of streaming. I mean, I'd rather just play the damn game myself, to tell you the truth. So when people tell me, "Oh my God, Nintendo said it wouldn't be fun," it isn't fun watching people play video games. Like even watching really competitive people play video games, one of two things are gonna happen. Like you watch Evo, you're gonna see people playing this shit, and you're gonna be like, "Damn, I could never beat that person." Or you're gonna see people spamming the same move over and over again, and you'll be like, "Damn, I could totally beat this person." But either way, I'd rather just play the damn game than actually watch people play it. So, unless it's a Bethesda game in which it's going to become how many glitches will I run into. But anyway,
Interesting note. I did heard. I think it was Chugga Conroy. He basically studied, well, before he played and streamed Xenoblade. Xenoblade Chronicles
mhm.
for the Wii. He actually studied that game for 6 months straight. I think it was 6 months. Could be more, but yeah. He actually studied that game inside and out, around it, all the way through it, so he doesn't miss anything. So by the time he finally streams that sucker, he would actually play. He would actually stream that game 100 complete and 100%. And I'm like,
You know
now
what he could
where
have?
can I
You know
find
what he
this?
should have done? He should have just played through the game the first time, then started New Game Plus, and then he could have done all that. I,
No, I think that's basically what he's doing.
No, because New Game Plus, you basically start out with the same levels, the same items. You carry over like all your weapons that aren't like story
Right.
specific.
Right.
Um, so I mean, you're not gonna have the Monado at its full power, but I mean all your other stuff. So then you can go around just totally destroying everything that in the beginning of the game just raped you. Now you can rape it. It's like, oh, like in the beginning of the game when you first get into the plains, it's like that's a massive dinosaur. I know if I try and fight that massive dinosaur, it's gonna kick my ass. In New Game Plus, you're like, that's a massive dinosaur. Let's go kill it. let's kill it. Die. But here's all I'm gonna say. Every RPG. This is just an aside. This has nothing to do with bullshit. Every RPG should have a New Game Plus. I don't care. Every RPG should have a New Game Plus. I should be able to take the characters that I've nurtured and grown to become very powerful. I should be able to restart the entire game. They carry the same levels and skills, and then just blaze through killing people. Vengeance. I should be allowed to get vengeance. But I guess we'll move into the main topic now, which is
EA.
Nintendo. No, Nintendo. Well, yeah, we can do EA, and then we'll do Nintendo's Not Kitty after that. EA and what's his name, Peter Moore, aka the Devil, because every sports division that man has ever worked for tanks, and he always comes out smelling like a bouquet of roses, which basically, and on his feet with that shit-eating grin on his face. and that's why I call Peter Moore the devil. So go ahead.
So yeah, Peter Moore basically just saying, um, this generation is the golden age of gaming, and I was like, what the bloody hell? Fuck! Did he just mention that? I, I could have face palmed so hard that I could do a backflip. I'm like, and then when sometime after, when I actually look or look in a way of in his point of view, I'm like, he's actually right. It's golden age of gaming for them, so they can just milk every customer, and they wouldn't know, or they're too naive to know. And all even after that, I'm not sure if it's before or after what Peter Moore just said, but it seems like EA's been caught spying on Origin again.
Why are people surprised? No, so, like, here's the thing, okay? EA is a bullshit company, okay? Okay, let's look at just their games. So EA Sports, which is what pretty much they do now, okay? EA Sports is basically, if you've played a Madden game since Madden 98, you've played every other since then. Because basically, it's the same general principle, just the graphics get better. That's it. There's no, you're still the quarterback. You take the ball, you throw it to the dude. Once it gets close to him, you can kind of move him around so that he can catch it, and then you run down the field. And you maybe can juke a little bit. I mean, the game hasn't really changed all that much. Okay, so you got the same game over and over and over again. And EA has not really upgraded. Yeah, they claim they upgraded the engine, but they haven't. Okay, so basically, their sports games are getting run into the ground. Nothing new. The last EA game that I bought that I enjoyed was NBA Jam for the Wii. You want to know why? Because I have good memories of NBA Jam. Of course, when the last time I played NBA Jam, it was a Midway game. Remember that shit? No, it was Acclaim. Sorry, Acclaim, because they're the ones who had the iguana, if I remember correctly. The iguana mascot, yeah, Acclaim. And I grew up playing NBA Jam on the SNES and the Genesis. And I loved that announcer, because he was cool. He's like, he's on fire, boom, shakalaka.
Oh yeah,
that was great back in the day. Now
that was masterful.
I got the new NBA Jam on my Wii. That game, it's still fun. EA did not mess that game up, thank God. I'll give them kudos for not messing up NBA Jam. It's hard to mess up NBA Jam, but they could have. But I mean, and that's just EA's sports titles. Let's get in, and then they came out with that travesty last year called NBA Live 13. That piece of garbage. That was supposed to compete. No, NBA Live 14 that was supposed to compete with 2K14. 2K14 kicked that game's butt graphically, gameplay-wise, and just bug-wise. I mean, how could you release a game that buggy? I'll never understand. But I mean, that's just their sports games. But then EA does something that I hate even more. Okay, they take good studios that make good, high-quality games, and they buy them, and the games go to shit, and then they close the studio. For example, PopCap. PopCap made Plants vs. Zombies and some other stuff, but they're really known for Plants vs. Zombies, right? Plants vs. Zombies 1, really great game. I have it. I've bought that game 3 times. I have it on PC, DS, and PSN, I want to say. PSN? Or is it on my phone? One or the other, okay?
You have it on your phone?
Yeah, I have Plants vs. Zombies on my phone, too. Or I did, except, I mean, it's probably still on my phone because you carry the same account, so I can probably transfer it over. Because I have a Droid phone, because Droid phones are awesome because fuck Apple. But but anyway, but I mean, I really like Plants vs Zombies. Plants vs Zombies 2 is just not as good. First of all, the microtransactions are annoying. They put like EA they put microtransactions in everything. Like they put like in DRM. Spore had DRM. I mean, this was Will Wright's swan song for Maxis, right? And here's the thing: Will Wright is like a Western video game god. Okay, like Will Wright, Seth Meyer, Ron Gilbert, what's his name? Shit, I forgot his name. Damn, I forgot his name. Tim Schafer. Tim Schafer, the dude who made Karateka, or what's the name of that game? The dude who programmed Prince of Persia. You know, these people are Western gaming gods. Now, the Japanese gaming gods are a bit well known. Like everyone knows Shigeru Miyamoto, Keiji Inafune, Igarashi. You know, everyone knows those people. But I mean, there's Western, like Americanized and European gaming gods who are very important to the industry. And basically, EA takes their franchises and runs them into the ground. You know, Peter Molyneux, who a lot of his games are overhyped, and a lot of his
more like over ambitious.
Well, I mean, he offers way too much, you know. But I mean, you know, there's even the games where he offers way too much are still solid games. But they took his game, Dungeon Keeper, and turned it like you can't even sell that game in Europe. It's so microtransaction heavy. They banned it in Europe. Can you believe that shit? Who has their games banned like that? That's EA for you. But you know, EA is a foul. I mean, and don't get me started on what they've been doing to BioWare. The two founders of BioWare, Ray Musica and Greg Zeshuk, the two doctors, they both had, they were actual doctors, like actual doctors. Those dudes got ran out of their own company by EA. You know what? And this was around the time that we got SWOTOR, which is actually SWOTOR. Look, for all you people who keep on saying you want a Knights of the Old Republic 3, SWOTOR is the closest you're gonna get. So go play it. It's free now. It's free now. It's got microtransactions in it. So if you weren't one of the people that was a founder of it, like me, because I so loved BioWare. Like, I remember when I loved BioWare games so much that I was like, of course I'm going to get this game. And then I got it, I'm like, this game's a piece of shit. And I played that game, and I maxed out like 5 characters at level 50, and then I just stopped caring because at that point it was like, this game is just a World of Warcraft clone. It wasn't a KOTOR game. It was just a World of Warcraft clone. That's all it was. SWOTOR just really... Like, the great thing about KOTOR was that you could basically choose whatever you wanted, you know?
Yes. That I have to give props.
Like, you could play it however you wanted. You could... But in this game, it was just a ripoff. But, I mean, my point is that EA just really, they are a foul company, and they lie, and they take really good studios and run them into the ground. Like, you know, and they take really good games, and they just pull the plug on them. Like Mercenaries 2, which, I mean, I liked Mercenaries 2. It was fun. Yes, it had bugs. Yes, it was glitchy. But the bugs didn't keep it from being playable. And any game that lets me play as Phil Lamar, and you get to like throw a dude out of a helicopter and hijack it in midair, and throw a grenade in a tank and kill the dude inside and take over the tank and drive around running down people. That is a fun game. But EA is just bullshit. Peter Moore is the devil. Don't believe anything he says. He's the devil.
I mean, his his face even looks like a devil with the gold teeth and the mustache.
Yeah, he really does. He really does look. He really does look like the devil. He really, like, when I first called him that, I was like, damn, he's the devil. But now, really looking at him, I'm like, dude, really does look like the devil.
Yeah, well,
But I guess you have one last topic before we get into the main topic. So go ahead, Triple M.
yes. Now, before I go to this last topic, I just have to give a passing mention to Microsoft about how they literally blast off some of their division, and including two pioneers from Rare. I mean, seriously, you're going to take off those two people that that actually could have some sort of potential to save one of those divisions, as in, I don't know, maybe those two people could actually have a class and uh, um, um, uh, and oh crap, brain fart again. Uh, let's, for the lack of a better word, basically give help developers or help develop upcoming developers make games. But yeah, I digress on that. Now on to the final topic. Now, Mr. Red Fox, do you know that YouPorn is interested in not investing, uh,
Sponsoring.
yeah, sponsoring one of these two games, Dota. And the first time when I first heard that, I'm like, really? Are you kidding me? And to be quite frank, these two games are basically part of esports, which esports wants to be sponsored or wants to be on or wants to be broadcast on ESPN. And I'm like, really? You guys are gonna let YouPorn sponsor you guys? And
Um,
yes,
I hear your outrage, but here's the thing. I know esports wants legitimacy, but esports isn't a sport. You know, like, here's the
I
thing.
agree.
Okay,
That's
let me put it this way. Esports trying to turn itself into a sport is the equivalent to someone turning. I mean, I know there's competitive eating, but you're never going to see people in a huge stadium watching people down hot dogs. Want to know why? Because I mean, it's just you're taking something that should be for enjoyment and you're turning it competitive, and that's just kind of weird, actually. You know, and I mean, I don't think those games should be like that. I don't think those games should, you know. I'm not
that
one of
thing.
those types of people.
Yeah, even I was dumbfounded when esports wanted to legitimize to be a part of ESPN's entertainment. I'm like, oh, come on. And to be honest, all of this, yeah, including ESPN, esports, and YouPorn, all of this, I would say, you know what? If it was in a different time, in a different place, where society actually has would use their brains and common sense, and actually would be okay with this. But in this day and age, no. Even the porn industry is being degraded upon.
No,
Right?
here's the thing that pisses me off is that people are talking about how, esports is so competitive. I'm like, most of these bastards are playing PC games. Look, these people want to play competitive gaming. We had competitive gaming back in the day. Put their asses in front of Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 2, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, Galaga, Galaxian, Defender, Joust. Tell them to get the
Have those
highest
high
score.
scores.
If they
Yeah,
can do that, that shit's competitive. The shit that these people are doing, oh, it's Dota, it's League of Heroes. I'm sorry if you play those games, God bless you, but I mean,
yeah.
look, I play real competitive games. You know, not this bullshit that people wanna. I mean, if you can sucker people into giving you money to play StarCraft, God bless you. But I really don't care if you do. But we have to get into this main topic. So
Right.
Nintendo is kitty. So let's. I guess we'll start with the big one, which is. I guess you can start with Mario.
Oh yes. Super Mario Brothers. How can anyone consider this a kiddie game when even grown-ups can play and even understand what little is there is in the story? But yeah, how would you go even further about the triple? Great. Now I'm even shouting my own name. I mean, Mr. Red Fox.
Sure. Mario is one of the most hardcore. Like, here's the thing: people think Mario is kitty. Okay, so you have an Italian plumber and his brother, okay, who basically goes into an alternate world and murders everything and everybody on a relentless pursuit for the affections of a girl. But because
Of a lady.
Mario,
Of a, I mean,
but wait, there's more.
a lady.
But wait, there's more. The affections of a lady who happens to be the princess of said land, who is consistently being kidnapped and presumably raped by a giant evil devil turtle. But wait,
Oh,
there's more. Mario proceeds to go around curb stomping people and lighting them on fire, kicking the dead corpses of turtle people that he's curb stomped into other turtle people and other creatures to death, and then throwing the henchmen into pits of lava or burning them to death with fireballs. Either or,
yeah.
he's gonna kill you. Okay. Now, also that he can get to the end of the game where he and his brother can double team and take turns taking on the princess. That's basically what Mario, the very first Mario game. I mean, I know there was the one where they were plumbers fighting the weird turtles and the crabs in the sewers. I'm talking about the Mario that people know. The Super Mario Brothers on the NES, that one. That came, for a lot of us, it came with Duck Hunt. And that's the Mario I'm talking about. This is, I mean, but this is so kiddie. Yeah. But I mean, and then it just gets worse. I mean, in Super Mario Brothers 3, he's like killing creatures and wearing their skin, and I mean, Mario is not kiddie. I'm tired of people saying it. It's the whole game. I mean, the game is hardcore.
By by aesthetic design, yeah, it does look kiddie. But the context, in the context that it's being given in the game or in the franchise, in the series, it's really not that. It's really not kiddie.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, Mario may look kiddie. Mario may look like it's very family friendly, and it is kind of. But if you really scratch the surface and think about what you're doing, Mario is a mass murderer. As a matter of fact, I was reading this thing, and they said 10 questions that nerds and geeks have figured out, that science have figured the answer to. Who's faster in reality, Mario or Sonic?
Scientifically speaking?
No, just period. If you measure scientifically how fast Mario moves through his levels versus how fast Sonic moves through his levels, who do you think is faster?
Sonic, actually.
Nope.
You've got to be bloody kidding me.
Oh, no. Scientifically speaking, if you measure how fast Mario and Sonic move in their respective games, pixels per second, Mario is faster. Think about that.
Yeah.
Mario is insanely fast, which puts that whole bullshit blast processing bullshit that Sega did into perspective. So the next time someone says Sonic was better than Mario, no. Mario was better than Sonic in every way, shape, and/or form. Sales, physically, speed. The only thing Sonic has going for him is that he's edgy and cool.
And that's
he's
it.
Edgy and cool.
Which is a shame for me to say because I am actually a fan of both Mario and Sonic. But yeah.
And blast processing, which is bullshit anyway. So, so I guess you have Earthbound, proving that Earthbound is definitely not Kiddy.
Oh yeah, this is entirely on you, my friend. But I will pop in here and there just
okay. Earthbound is not Kiddy. I'm not even gonna go into how Earthbound 3 just tells us exactly how evil Pokey really is, but I'm gonna go into the first Earthbound that most of us have played, which wasn't the NES one because that was never released in America. It was the SNES Earthbound with Ness and Paula and Jeff, and my favorite name of any character ever, Pooh.
Pooh.
Pooh. But Pooh. But there was a cult in this game called the Blue Cult, right? They painted everything blue. Well, that cult is a parody of the KKK. That's right.
Oh my God.
The
What?
Blue Cult is a parody of the Ku Klux Klan. But, you know, Nintendo is Kiddy.
Nintendo, yeah.
Nintendo is so Kiddy. They're so Kiddy that they totally didn't include a parody of the Ku Klux Klan in their game. There in Onet in Forside in that game. There's a point. Well, not Forside. The first town you get to, the first little like city you get to in that game, from where you have to leave and rescue Paula. There's a part in that game where basically you have to deal with the corrupt police force, and it's obvious they're really corrupt. But that's so Kiddy. A corrupt police force. The people who are supposed to preserve and protect are evil assholes. But that's Kiddy. That's a Kiddy game right there. That's so Kiddy. So then, you know, let's delve a little bit deeper. There's an enemy in Earthbound called a crazy old lady. Now, in the Japanese version of Earthbound, she's not crazy, and her kanji for her name says that she's moonstruck, which is a codified term to talk about a woman who's on her period. So she's really not crazy. She's just cramping and having a bad day.
I can see this now. Feminist frequency are going banal on this situation.
But wait a second. Nintendo is Kiddy. Nintendo is Kiddy. Nintendo doesn't deal with hard topics, okay?
No. It goes to show you they might not deal with hard topics head on, but they will definitely, slip some of their.
Nintendo is so Kiddy. Like, here's the thing that gets on my nerves. People say that Nintendo is Kiddy. It's so Kiddy. It's so. I'm like, motherfucker, you don't know jack shit about Nintendo. Oh. You didn't grow up in that stuff. You haven't. You didn't see. If you didn't grow up in Nintendo and you didn't read between the lines, then you don't know what it's about. Wow. Like, I mean, hell, let's talk about Metroid. Since people like to, no one ever says Metroid is Kiddy, but they disregard it. They're like,
but yet they say Nintendo is Kiddy. Therefore, they say all franchises made by Nintendo is Kiddy, and yet
Metroid is not Kiddy.
Yes, yet they missed that.
Okay, and I'll prove it to you. Okay, your main character is Samus Aran. When she's a little girl, her colony is attacked by space pirates. As a matter of fact, if you read the manga that tells her origin story, it's attacked by Ridley. You know what Ridley does to her parents' corpse? He eats them. But this is Kiddy. This is Nintendo. It's very kiddie. This is, you could put this. This is a Pixar right here. This is Pixar. So then, after all of that, she basically gets into an escape pod and manages to escape. But she always remembers who killed her family and ate her parents. She's found by the Chozo, those nice bird aliens who have created half of the dangerous shit in the Metroid series.
And by the way,
they're the good guys, but they're the good guys because
by the way, those Chozos are actually hardened, battled alien types, so they can survive.
Oh, yeah.
They're basically fighters.
So the Chozo basically give Samus some of their DNA because apparently she was wounded and would have died. So they give her a blood transfusion with some of their blood, some of their DNA, and then they give her a power suit because you need to give a little kid a suit that lets her just rain death upon people because this is for kids.
No. This is a way of the Chozo saying, okay, girl, you're too weak. We're gonna make a power suit for you so you can be at our level.
So basically, they give her the suit, and then they train her up and all this stuff. Now, later on, they added stuff that, like, she became a space marine, and then she went back to the Chozo, and then she got the suit. But I'm going with the original origin, not that bullshit they added later. So anyway, she goes, she does all that cool shit. She becomes a total badass. Then she goes hunting. And who does she go hunting afterwards? The pirates that killed her family. So basically, she hunts down the pirates. She takes out the left-hand man, Kraid, the right-hand man, Ridley, and then she takes out the head, Mother Brain, who also happens to be a super intelligent supercomputer created by the Chozo. So for all of you, here's a little hint for you people who played Metroid Prime 3. Remember those Aurora units? Didn't they look familiar? Yeah. Guess what Mother Brain is? Yeah. So guess who that final boss was in Metroid Prime 3? Another Mother Brain, basically. Yeah. So anyway, now that we've gotten those spoilers out of the way, so basically she goes around she murders the hell out of those pirates, kills a ton of Metroids, but murders the hell out of some pirates, kills one of the most technologically advanced supercomputers of all time, and then blows up the planet. And flies away after she killed all of these sentient creatures, she takes off her suit and she's smiling with a bikini on. She killed all of these people. I mean, I'm not saying that the pirates weren't bad, but I mean, there was just a pirate janitor who was just cleaning up. He didn't have anything to do with killing anyone's parents or anything. It's like, I'm just mopping this floor, and she busted in and blasted him. He's like, no, this is my last day before I retired. I was gonna get a ship and travel the galaxy with my wife and kids and just live peacefully.
And yet that space pirate was armed with a plasma rifle.
But wait a second. Nintendo is kidding. But anyway, so this leaves me and that's just her first game. She kills all these people, and at the end she's all happy she killed all these people. The second game, Metroid 2: Return of Samus, which I still have for my Game Boy. That game is friggin' awesome. Has you going around committing genocide, killing all of the Metroids on SR-33 except for one. A baby
Metroid.
A baby Metroid. That's right. That baby Metroid. You killed his mom, his cousins, his brothers and sisters, his uncle, his auntie, even his third cousin twice removed. You kill everyone. She killed 77 Metroids. Well, 78. Okay. 76, including the queen. And she's about to kill the baby, but it hatches and bonds with her because it's the last egg left, and it's a queen, a baby queen. It bonds with her, She takes it in, but it does her maternal instincts kick in? Hell no. Takes that shit to a research facility where it gets stolen like 2 weeks later by Ridley. And that is Metroid, Super Metroid, okay? Super Metroid, she basically does the original Metroid all over again, except this time the baby Metroid saves her and gets killed by Mother Brain. Samus gets pissed and wipes out Mother Brain once and for all. Until Other M, but we're not going to mention that abomination. So, so then we get to Metroid, the Prime series. In the first Prime series, she's visiting a colony of the bird people, the Chozo, and she finds out that shit's gone awry, and she winds up facing off against a Phazon mutated Queen Metroid, aka Metroid, the original Metroid Prime. Then in Metroid Prime 2, there's a planet called Ether that's been hit with a Phazon comet that's split into two different worlds, a dark world and a light world, which is a big theme in a lot of Nintendo games.
Franchise. Yeah.
A lot of Nintendo games, there's a dark world and a light world, an alternate world and this world, whatever. And she commits genocide on a planetary scale because when she basically finds all of the primal energy and restores balance, it wipes out that dark world. You see the Ing trying to escape in that ending. It's horrifying. She commits genocide on a planetary scale, and she acts like it's nothing at all. Okay? She's like, ain't no thing. So then in Metroid Prime 3, she ups the ante. She wipes out she kills one of her fellow bounty hunters. She wipes out the last of his species. She wipes out a member of a species that the Federation doesn't know where their home planet is, if she's the only one or anything. Then she bombs the hell out of the pirate homeworld, basically rendering it uninhabitable. And then she destroys an entire living planet. So basically, Samus commits genocide twice in Metroid Prime Corruption. But it's a kiddie game. Nintendo games are kiddie. They're kiddie. They're kiddie. They're for little kids. Because committing genocide is not something that is something that all kids should. If you play these games, that all kids should be familiar with genocide on a planetary scale.
And having fun at it, too.
Yeah, and having fun at it. As a matter of fact, the only time you see Samus show emotion in any of her games is when she sees Ridley. Like, in Metroid Prime Corruption, she's falling down a hole in a shaft that's going down to the center of the planet, and she's, gonna die if she doesn't get out of that hole. And she goes out of her way to shoot her missiles multiple times in Ridley's mouth. Wow. She really hates Ridley. She really hates that guy. But apparently in Metroid Other M, she's fought this dude 5-6 times, but this last time it's too much. But anyway, so moving on. We did Mario, we did we did Earthbound, we did Metroid. Let's go
with Donkey Kong, because I have something very interesting with Donkey Kong 3 Dixie Kong's Quest. But
sure.
Yeah, let's start with Donkey Kong.
Okay. Well, Donkey Kong seems kiddie, but let's take it back to the original. People think Donkey Kong is the villain in the original Donkey Kong game. You're Mario. Your girlfriend was kidnapped. You want to know what really happened? Donkey Kong was Mario's pet. He kept him in a cage and treated him like shit. And when Donkey Kong broke loose, he said, "You know what? You took something precious from me, my freedom. I'm going to take something precious from you, your woman." And he steals her. She drops all her shit, and Mario's like, "Damn, I got to capture and get all her shit while I'm running after this giant gorilla." So then he proceeds to chase this gorilla through 4 levels while the gorilla's throwing barrels at him, which is weird because gorillas are huge and very muscular. Why
Yeah.
didn't he just go down there and beat the hell out of Mario? I'll never understand. But anyway, um, yeah, Mario culminates with Mario basically causing the girders to fall and Donkey Kong to fall down. In the
On,
game, it appears that
on
he
his and on his head, on his
on his
little
head,
noggin.
and they say he dies, but I'm not going to say he dies because he
Guy,
appears in the second one, and
one.
where Mario's the
You
villain.
know, before we go with Donkey Kong Jr., I just wanted to say this. Even though I really do detest that official story about Donkey Kong being Mario's pet, but I have to accept it. And yes, do now the people that keeps calling Nintendo Kitty. Do you when a game that has a story like that, an intro like that, is that really freaking Kitty?
Yeah, and think about it. This was Miyamoto's first game
First,
where he was at the lead. This was him just throwing some shit against the wall and hoping that it stuck. This is
bitch.
the beginning of the legacy. Think about that. But anyway, let's move further
Let's
into it.
move on to
Donkey Kong Jr. So basically, Mario's got your dad locked up, the original Donkey Kong. He's throwing alligators at you and all types of weird shit and birds and all types of stuff. And this little ape wearing a diaper and a t-shirt has to rescue his dad, find the key, get to the top, get his dad out. Then he's got to basically rescue his dad and all this other great stuff. Um, Culminating with Mario falling to his death.
and actually, and here's the thing: that original sprite actually has the halo on top of Mario's head when it falls down.
Yeah. Now, we won't talk about Donkey Kong 3 because that game sucked and it had you shooting bug spray up Donkey Kong's butt, which was just weird. that was a weird game.
Nonetheless.
That was a weird game. The less we talk about that game, but that's not kiddie. You're blowing stuff up a monkey's ass. That's so kid friendly. but anyway,
Yeah.
so Donkey Kong evolves. Okay, we go from that Donkey Kong to Donkey Kong Country. Junior from Donkey Kong Jr. grew up. He grew up into a large gorilla with a nice little tie that says DK on it. But his dad grew older,
And
old
grumpy.
and bitter, to an old man with a stick. An old man with a stick who's always talking shit. You may know him as Cranky Kong.
Back in my day, we actually finished our game.
Yeah. He's like, look, back in my day, we didn't jump on people's heads. We threw barrels at people. And that's how you knew. It was like, oh, shit. When I played that game, I got that game on a whim. I went to my parents. I was like, look, Christmas is coming up. This is the game I want. They got it for me. And I saw Cranky Kong, and I saw the stuff he was saying. He's like, back in my day, we threw barrels on people. I was like, oh, shit. I think I know who this is. And then I put it together where you saw the girders and the beginning of the game. Like, oh, shit, it's the original Donkey Kong. He looks kind of busted up, actually. I'm like, damn, Pops, you need to be in a chair. And he was in a chair. He really was in a chair. He's gotten a little bit more spry. They must have sent him to physical therapy. But anyway.
Before we go any further, the first character that actually made my eyes go wide open is Candy Kong with one piece suit and in pink, and has a figure that any man would die for a woman. But
well, I wouldn't say that.
Wait. Before you say anything, but yes, Nintendo is Kitty. Even though you have a character like Candy Kong that is sexy as hell, for a furry fan.
16
But
bit.
yes,
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say that. I'll tell you the character who basically let me know Nintendo was in on the joke. And Rare. Funky Kong. Okay? You want to know why? Because you know what Funky Kong does all day when you aren't there? He smokes a lot of weed. He eats a lot of pizza. Okay? That's what he does. That's what Funky Kong does in all those games. He smokes
oh
a lot
yeah,
of weed, eats a lot of pizza. And you know
lay
what?
lay back and let the other Kongs do the hard work.
And here's the thing that's puzzling to me. Why hasn't anyone made a Donkey Kong hack where you play as Funky Kong, except when you go into the cave to see your banana horde, it's just like it's not bananas,
Oh, wait,
it's leaves and
before you,
and it's weed. He's like,
before,
they
no,
stole
no,
my
no, no.
stash.
You have to say, you have to use the proper word for that. It's ganja.
Yeah, they stole. No, it's stash. Like Donkey Kong has his banana horde. Well, Funky Kong has his weed stash. It's like
Yeah,
they
it's
stole my
ganja.
stash. Except the villains in that game would be a little bit different, cause I mean, like those Kremlins who are all bouncing around and all manic. No, the
Yeah.
Kremlins, the Kremlins in Funky Kong's adventure would be like, fuck it. Here, just look here, just here, puff, puff, pass, man, puff, puff, pass. Um,
You know what? I bet those characters, or should I say enemies, for Funky Kong, they would be called Smokey.
yeah. Hey, man, King Karul, you get to the end of the level, his eyes will be bloodshot, and he'd just be like, just take it, man, just take it. Look, this is some good stuff. Here,
Oh,
I'll give you some crim. Here's some crim coins. Here's some crim coins. I'll buy some from you. Okay, that's good. We can do a deal.
and
Um,
this and this to be noted, King K. Cruel actually does have bloodshot red eyes.
yes, he does, and that's because he was in Funky's stash. But anyway, um, which I mean, and that's the original Donkey Kong. Then we get two, where Donkey Kong's nephew or cousin. I'm not gonna call him his nephew because Diddy Kong is you can look at him and tell he's not really related to Donkey Kong because he's got a tail, but he
Yeah, Ed actually has a more of a chimpanzee or
no,
ape
he's got a
like.
tail. He's not a chimpanzee. He's got a tail. Chimpanzees don't have tail.
And
Um,
scratch what I said about chimpanzee.
he doesn't. He's got a tail. He does now. Dixie Kong is a chimpanzee, but Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong's like my favorite character because he's so agile and fast, and he's just like I would just blaze through Donkey Kong Country and 1 and 2 with Diddy Kong. One of the reasons I didn't get Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Trouble, was because I didn't want to play as Dixie Kong, and really. I mean, I rented it. I own it now because I got it on the virtual console. But I mean, really, Donkey Kong Country 2 is so much better than Donkey Kong Country 1. And Donkey Kong Country 1 is really good, but the second one is so much better. But anyway, you do all this stuff. You're chasing down Captain Karul, where he's shooting musket balls at you and TNT barrels. He's kidnapped Donkey Kong and tortured the hell out of him. I mean, generally some pretty dark stuff if you think about it.
Yeah.
But Nintendo's kitty. But which culminates with Donkey Kong breaking loose and doing his signature Donkey Kong uppercut to Diddy Kong, to Captain Karul right in the face and punching him to Kingdom Come. But I digress. Nintendo's kitty.
Yeah, and you know what? Speaking about Funky Kong, you know what's very interesting
No, what?
about yeah. He has a laid back manner, but when you actually sit down and listen to the background music whenever he appears, there's there's something about uh, how can I say this? There's something about really rad or really like back in the hood type of um, theme going on with Funky Kong, and I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah, I
this guy,
told you because he smokes a lot of
gangsta.
weed. I
Yeah.
told you. Look, listen, look. And like, here's the thing: if you liked Funky Kong, the original Donkey Kong, they in Donkey Kong Country 2, they gave him better music and they made him even more funkier. I mean that. I mean, Funky Kong needs to have his own damn game. As a matter of fact, I heard a rumor.
Oh yes,
I heard a rumor that they're making a Donkey Kong Country 2. They need to put Funky Kong as a character in that game.
definitely agree with you. I can see
But
it now.
now that we've hit Donkey Kong, let's get down to Pokemon.
Wait. Still, okay, okay, we're on Donkey Kong Country 3.
Yeah,
Here's what I wanted to say. Now, Rare was actually a British company, right? Or is actually a British, well, actually was a British company, right? Or was Canadian?
yeah. Who, Rare?
Yes. You know,
I want to say Rare was initially um, part of their studio was Canadian, part of it was British, I believe. Because I know
well,
David Wise is British, and David Wise did a lot of their music. So
yeah. Well, here's a bit of interesting thought. It seems like, well, at least for the Donkey Kong Country series, there is a connection with the whole historical about uh, connection between New yeah England and Africa, and I think it's like that, and it has something to do with bananas as well. Back in the, I think it was the 1800s. I gotta find that video, but this person basically um uh, uh basically let me just say, for the lack of a better word, uncovered that uh the scenarios that the Donkey Kong Country series actually has kind of ties in with the whole hysterical of the 1800s, that has the economic
you mean the
economic
Banana Republic?
the could be, but I think if I remember correctly, it also has something to do with the bananas themselves as
Yeah, the Banana
themselves.
Republics.
Yeah.
They would go in and give like they would go in and destroy a country
Yeah.
basically and destroy a country and destroy their economy so that the people would be forced to sell their land so that the banana corporations would have land to grow bananas. Yeah, I
And you
know.
know what? That yeah, that is pretty dark stuff. And yeah, Nintendo's kidding.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. But let's go to Pokemon. I only have one thing to say about Pokemon. Well, three things to say about Pokemon before anyone says this game is kiddie. First of all, you take small, cute, adorable creatures and make them fight, kind of like dog fighters. Um, you
Or even cockfights.
or cockfights, but chickens, except baby chicks, are kind of cute. But puppies are cute, and people who make dogs fight, you make me sick. I hope you die. I hope you have
Yeah.
diarrhea. I hope you have diarrhea that backs up from your stomach, from your lower GI tract, through your stomach, out your mouth. You eat shit and die, fuckers. All you dog fight people. But anyway, and I meant that with sincerity in my heart. But anyway,
Yeah.
um, but Pokemon. So you basically make these small, cute, adorable creatures fight for your benefit, okay? Because they aren't getting anything out of it. It's all for your trainer's benefit. He gets the badges. He gets the money. The trainer, all they get is just their ass kicked and a trip to the Poke
To the
Center to
Pokemon
get
Center.
healed up. But anyway, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that you make them fight so that they gain more experience and level up, whether they want to or not. You can give them something to force them to level up. You can give them steroids and
Red candy,
all types of stuff to make them more powerful.
Purple.
And lastly, Mewtwo. This universe is so messed up. Someone actually decided to create a Pokemon that's so powerful that literally the gaming world's best trainer of all time has to go and capture this Pokemon. It's so out of control. It's destroyed mansions, labs. It's unstoppable. Unless you have a Master Ball, then you're okay.
And
there's only one Master Ball in the entire game.
And even though one chance, and there's a potential chance that Master Ball misses.
No, the Master Ball never misses.
Really?
No.
Because if
it has 100%, the Master Ball has 100% hit rate.
Because I remember correctly, the first time I tried to capture a Mewtwo in Pokemon Blue, the freaking Master Ball missed it.
Yeah, that I don't know what to say. Unless it was a hacked Master Ball. A Master Ball has 100%.
Oh no, it's not even a hack. That was a legitimate playthrough.
The Master Ball has 100% hit rate, so I don't know what to say, man. Anyway, yeah, I mean that makes no sense whatsoever. I have no idea what happened with that. But anyway, yeah. But Pokemon is kitty.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the very first two games, Red and Blue, they actually have a town, a city, town, whatever you might call it, that actually has a tower that calls Pokemon Tower, and that basically housed all the Pokemons that have passed away. And I'm like, the first time I didn't even know what that tower is until the first time I got inside and I got the explanations of what this Pokemon Tower is. I'm like, dang, that is deep and a tad creepy, I might add.
I'll tell you this much: you talk to people in that tower before you get the Silph Scope, and you find out that Team Rocket killed that Pokemon's mom, and you can find that Marowak around there. I'm like, God, these people are foul.
Haunted Marowak.
But wait a second. Nintendo is kitty. Which leads us to our.
I'm sorry. Let me go back to the Donkey Kong franchise. I wanted to pick at least one aspect of Donkey Kong 64, which I'm sorry, I have to bring back Candy again. Now, just the theme, the music theme of Candy makes you it makes you go really awkward to hear a music like that. It's a very slow, methodical, sexy music, and I'm like, okay, I know this kind of music. It makes you turn on, but I'm having this awkward feeling that
let's be honest, okay? If you beat that game, Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Tiny Kong, what's his name? The big one, forgot his name. Lanky Kong, and I forgot the big dumb one. Basically, all those dudes, they don't even beat King K. Rool. Candy Kong walks in, King K. Rool starts to lust after her. He's sitting there trying to jump over the ropes to get to her, and Funky Kong walks in with a rocket launcher with a boot on it, and he hits him and he shoots him in the ass with it. But wait a second, Nintendo's kitty. So basically, which leads to the pièce de résistance. We're not even going to get to Star Fox, but trust me, just a quick mention. Those animals amputate their legs and replace them with robotic feet so that they can pilot their machines. But Star Fox is kitty. Which leads us to the pièce de résistance, the most unkitty game in the entire Nintendo pantheon of characters. and this is perhaps the most dangerous Nintendo character that I've ever seen. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Kirby.
Wait. Oh, you just mentioned his name. I was gonna say, oh, we're going to skip Legend of Zelda because I would definitely leave Kirby for the last part. But yeah, maybe let's skip Zelda because we all know that that is not Kiddy, and yet, well, you know.
Well, I mean, look, okay, fine then. I'm just gonna give you 5 examples from the Legend of Zelda that definitely let you know it's not Kiddy. The original Legend of Zelda, basically, you see Hyrule as just this blasted, just destroyed place. Nothing. That's so much fun. This blasted. There's almost no safe places to be. And the few caves.
There's not even a freaking town.
There's no towns. It's just a place that's been just destroyed. Okay.
Oh, yeah. The only safest place that aliens can actually be in is in a freaking cave. A freaking cave.
And even look, you'll even find monsters that are like, "Hey man, don't tell anyone I'm in this cave because it's fucked up out there." They'll come in and try and take me out of here. But anyway, number 2, in Legend of Zelda 2, in order for you to replenish your health, you go into houses with young ladies. And to replenish your magic, you go in the house with old ladies. Now, I don't know what was going on in those houses. I can guess.
Oh, we all can guess, my friend. We all can guess.
I'm pretty sure it was nothing that was...
nothing sanitary?
Nothing... I'm pretty sure it was NC-17, okay? Or XXX, depending on which rating you want to use. Number 3...
before you go to number 3, by the way, there was this awesome clip of that parodies that number 2 thing.
Yeah. Telma. All I'm gonna say is this: Telma from Twilight Princess.
Oh.
Yeah. How she kept on hitting on that dude.
I know that.
And he was like, "This woman makes me uncomfortable." Okay. Number 4.
Heck, even Link was uncomfortable at that time.
Midna from Twilight Princess.
Good Lord.
No, I don't mean little kid Midna. I mean at the very end of the game where you see Midna in her true form. I'm telling you, if I was Link, I would have just gone with her. I was just like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm going with her. You guys, look, you can have this sword, you can take this shield, you can take my bag of my small little bag that has infinite space. I'm going with her.
You know what Midna's true form. You know what that reminded me? Or you know what she reminded me of?
No.
A black African goddess. African female goddess.
Okay.
Well,
I wouldn't go that far, but she was relatively attractive for a fictional character. Which leads me to my number 5 thing that lets you know that Zelda is not Kiddy. And this was in Skyward Sword. A little character I like to call Girahim. Now, I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why this character is just totally just. Let me tell you something, okay?
Let me say this.
I know that Skyward Sword is the very first game in the series, thus far, because they'll probably make another game. They'll probably make another game before that tells what happened to those mole robots and all that other stuff. So you never know. But basically, I'm gonna say it's the first one thus far. Okay, Link, the power of the Triforce of Courage is that it basically you gain the fighting experience of every other person who has borne the Triforce of Courage. Okay, before you. So, I mean, if you really think about it, Link has there probably were some people before that had the Triforce of Courage. So basically, you're talking about, Link has fought some pretty messed up stuff. He fought the Redeads in Ocarina of Time. that weird thing that had the arms, in Ocarina of Time that scared the hell out of.
Bongo.
No. It was a mini boss in the dungeon where you got the True Eye.
Oh yeah.
That thing creeped the Bongo was a scary.
God.
Bongo was fun. This thing was creepy as hell.
Yes. Oh.
But anyway, Link has fought all types of strange things. He's fought the personification of darkness. He's fought the evil king. He's fought Ganondorf with all types of insane powers. Hell, he even fought the Lord of the Demons. But the only thing that made Link totally uncomfortable and made him like, ugh, that's just too. Look, hey, look, don't lick me, dude. Was Girahim.
And to think, his introduction, the very first scene that you see him, that totally nailed it. I'm like, okay, disgusting.
I mean, look, listen. Link has fought all types of amazing creatures, and he always was just up to the challenge. The only thing that gives him pause is what looks like a grown-ass man trying to lick him. Yeah, but you know what? Zelda's kitty.
Yeah.
You know, I would totally see that in a Saturday morning cartoon. Or some random dude who's really effeminate looking trying to lick me. Yeah, I see that in Bugs Bunny all the time.
Yeah. I will say this. Back to Twilight Princess, when Midna transformed her appearance as Ilya and one of the kids. You know what? That was one of the first time that really angered me. I mean, okay. Through Link eyes, this character poses as a childhood friend, and and in a way, she kind of well, to me, it kind of feels like undermines that childhood friend, and basically poses as in a seductive way. And I'm like, in my eyes, I'm like, no, that's not Ilya. That's not Ilya at all. You swine! Stop doing that. I'm gonna tear your throat. But yeah.
Well, two things. First of all, I think you might be reading a little too much into that scene.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, and secondly, she was. I mean, that's the nature of shadow magic. It's illusionary. She can transform into things that look like other things. That's the nature of it. That's why basically she was cursed and was cast out of her own kingdom. Was that like? Xant's magic was augmented by Ganon's. Like, their magic was not that strong. If it was, they would have won the war for the Triforce. They would have won the war, and they wouldn't have been exiled to the land of Twilight. But that's another topic for another podcast. But basically what I'm saying is that, you know, this game is not, you know, people who say that Nintendo is kiddie is just really... Like, I hate when people say that. Now, if people want to talk about games that are kiddie, I'll tell you games that are kiddie. When I was a little kid, before I started playing video games, like 4 or 5 years old, I'd take a stick and pretend it was all types of things. A sword, a gun. I pretend to shoot other people. Now, when you're a little kid, that's pretty easy. Pretend to shoot people. Play good guys, bad guys. Soldiers versus aliens. Now, that's something I did when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. That was kiddie. Now, we see a lot of games coming out in the market that have you running around pretending to be a soldier shooting people.
And the thing is, not even in an accurate way.
And these games are considered hardcore when, in fact, they're just a derivation of the same shit we were doing when we were 3 and 4 years old with a stick. Except now you don't even have the stick, okay? So next time someone tells you, hey, man, you play Nintendo games, those games are kiddie, no. I play games about a psychotic man who goes around burning people to death and curb stomping people.
And you know what?
Oh,
we have.
you're playing Battlefield? Oh, yeah, yeah. That's so you're basically playing a technological version of the same shit we did when we were kids, playing make believe with sticks and stones, right? Wow, you're really adult. You're so adult. Your shit's kiddie.
And you know what? We haven't even gone to we haven't even gone with Fire Emblem, Kid Icarus, Pikmin, or
No,
even because we could be on here forever.
we'd be
Heck,
here. We'd
even
be here for another hour and a half talking
yeah,
about those.
heck, even Advanced Wars or Battalion Wars or however you want to call it.
Yeah, we'd be here for a long time, but we won't. We'll just cover
Yes, the
um
month, yeah, the mother of all, mother of all monsters, which is the soul sucking, swallowing ability, and earth shattering Kirby.
yeah, the most dangerous creature in Nintendo's pantheon. Kirby
We
basically enslaves other creatures
and you know what
to do
this
his will.
and you know what this is ironic. Um, Kirby is like it's like, oh crap, what was that Pokemon that Pokemon? You know,
Jigglypuff,
the no
Jigglypuff,
no not that one. The one that basically copies
Ditto.
other. Yes, Ditto. He's Kirby is basically Ditto.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean, I'm gonna be frank with you. When I first saw Super Smash Brothers and they had Kirby and Jigglypuff, I was like, why do we have Jigglypuff? We have Kirby. We don't need like whenever someone plays as Jigglypuff, I beat their ass with Kirby because I'm like, we don't need this bullshit around here. My point is this: Kirby is on the surface. Kirby looks like a very kid-friendly game, but if
heck,
you get down to the
he looks harmless. Like what
if you
what could go wrong?
if you get down to the nitty gritty, Kirby is absolutely horrifying. He eats people, which makes him really terrifying.
You know,
He can eat your soul and take your abilities.
and
Or if he doesn't feel like doing that in some games, he can eat your soul and crap it out and create a doppelganger of you that does his bidding. That's pretty terrifying.
you
And
know,
he has absolute control over whether or not you live or die. He can call you to him and kill you and turn you back into your base ability and eat that and claim it for himself. That is some evil shit right there. And
you
then
know, you know what's ironic about all of this?
what?
In real life, you know the most deadliest creatures on Earth is something that looks either harmless or very beautiful. Kirby
Yeah,
is in that.
he's in the first one. Kirby isn't attractive, but he certainly
Yeah,
is very cute.
he looks
He looks
harmless.
like Kirby looks like he would be a great pet. He's only 8 inches tall. You give him a cookie or maybe a tomato, he's happy. But
And you know,
don't don't make him mad because he will kill you. But
yeah,
anyway, it's continuing on. Kirby basically will friggin' just destroy. I mean, look. Then that's just his basic abilities. He can also fly, which means you can't get away from him. Um, he can fly. He also has the ability to inhale basic objects and spit them out as kinetic charges. And if he swallows 2 or 3, he can shoot a huge kinetic charge which can go through stuff. Basically just destroying all types of doing all types of damage. Then and those are just his basic abilities. Then let's get into his special abilities. He can also, if he has the fighter ability, he can do if he concentrates really hard and gets his timing just right, he can do a punch that can crack a planet in half. One
Earth
punch.
shattering, my friends. Earth
One
shattering.
punch. One punch. And then here's the worst part. You think you're safe in space? You think if you leave the planet, he's not gonna come after you? The fucker can get on a warp star
Warp
and follow
star.
you. Okay? So here's the thing. Kirby is one of the most, and here's the worst part. Kirby.
Let me go. Let me go even further. Kirby can actually use the warp star as a projector.
Well, not just that. He can transform the warp star into all types of stuff. He can turn it into a spaceship, and like to a starfighter akin to the R-wing, and shoot people and blow up stuff. And then here's the worst thing about Kirby. The absolute worst thing about Kirby is that in almost all of his games, he's actually the bad guy, or he's working for the bad guy.
Without even knowing.
And he's damn near unstoppable too.
And you see here, people, the greatest enemy of ourselves is ignorance.
let me put it this way. In Kirby's Dreamland 3, there's a level where you meet up with Samus, and she gives you a mission to hunt down Metroids. Samus, in order for her to defeat Metroids, has to freeze them, then shoot them with a missile. You know what Kirby does to defeat Metroids? He eats them.
No.
Think about that. Kirby can eat Metroids. Let me tell you something. Any creature that can eat one of the most dangerous species in a fictional galaxy it's nothing.
No, dangerously bioengineered the species.
Well, I don't think they were all bioengineered, but there are different versions of Metroids. But generally speaking, one of the most dangerous creatures in the entire Metroid universe. And you have this little cute 8-inch tall creature that eats them. Holy shit, that's a dangerous animal.
You know what?
I'm telling you, Kirby is dangerous.
Yeah,
he needs to be put down.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo actually make a crossover of Metroid, Star Fox, and Kirby, because let's face it, they're in all those three franchises are in space, and I wouldn't be surprised if Kirby is actually an enemy in that crossover game, just for his abilities alone.
Yeah, could be. But anyway, so the next time someone tells you that Nintendo is kiddie, and you're a Nintendo fan and you play Nintendo games, turn around and say, well, what do you like to play? And if they say Battlefield, Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, any of those types of games, just say, So basically you're playing a game that's either like the same shit you were doing as a kid, pretending to be a soldier or a knight or a spaceman or anything like that. You're pretending to be a soldier in a war, shooting imaginary people. But I'm kidding. Okay, right. So
now, here's the thing that bugs me. Well, it shouldn't bug me anymore, because when people say that Nintendo is kiddie, I'm like, yeah, I guess you people really, or you people really haven't understand the meaning, or read between the lines, or even have a great higher mind of intelligence that actually debunk that theory for yourselves. So yeah, I would see them. You guys are close-minded.
Well, I mean, it's just the thing is that people like to say that Nintendo is kiddie, and clearly, I mean, none of this shit. I mean, like, here's the thing: none of the old school games from back in the day were kiddie.
Yeah.
Like, and old school style games aren't kiddie. I mean, some of these games are downright dark. Earthbound is dark. Star Fox is dark. The Legend of Zelda, if you really think about what's going on, is dark. Like Ocarina of Time, okay, you get the Master Sword, it's been 7 years, you come back. Hyrule Castle Town is filled with zombies, which means now a lot of those people moved to Kakariko. But think about it, it's filled with zombies. That means a lot of those people died
Over there.
And were resurrected as friggin' zombies. Do you know how evil that bastard Ganon has to be to do some junk like that?
And do you think you you have to think. You have to go use your brain and actually tell yourself what could you have done of all those 7 years that you lost. You
Yeah.
can't get them back.
Well, all I'm
That's
going to say,
sad.
well, he did get them back at the end
Yeah,
because Princess
yeah.
Zelda sent him back in time. But I mean, here's the thing, and here's a little quick myth I'm going to bullshit thing that I'm tired of hearing. I want Demise in Smash Brothers. Demise is awesome. Let me tell you something, okay?
We got Ganondorf.
Going by Skyward Sword's logic, the mortal incarnation of Demise is Ganondorf, or a Ganondorf-like being. So in like the in shit, Spirit Tracks, it was that dude who looked like Ganondorf, except he was blue instead of red. But but I mean that's basically who. But here's the thing, though, right?
Yes,
This is a dude who, throughout the ages, every time he pops up, he gets his ass kicked by a young man, young man, wearing a green tunic and wielding a mystical sword. So you're talking essentially hundreds of thousands of years getting your ass kicked by a kid. Don't you think he would get tired of getting his ass kicked? I mean, at this point, I mean, you'd think he'd be like, look, man, I'm tired of getting my ass kicked. I like Ganon as much as the next dude, but I would get tired of getting even Bowser every once in a while doesn't turn out to be the primary villain. Hey, man, I had nothing to do with this. Ganondorf all the time. It's like, why does he keep on beating my ass? Because you're evil. You're the bad guy.
You know what? Speaking about the Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker, a game that people dog on for having that aesthetic childish look. Can you believe? I was shocked when I finally beaten the game and saw how Ganondorf basically died by having a sword just thrusted in his forehead.
Did his signature
And,
move from The Legend of Zelda 2, the sword plant, right to the forehead.
And let's be honest, that entire scene was not even freaking sensitive. You can literally see the sword goes down his forehead.
And here's the thing, the dude was still alive. He was still alive, talking shit as he was turning into stone. He's like, I just wanted to have a word. Like, I will say this much: Wind Waker is the only Legend of Zelda game that has really humanized Ganon.
Yes.
It's the only time you saw his motivations. Like, because up until that point, he was always just this evil asshole who just wanted to take over the world. But in Wind Waker, you find out that, like, he came from the desert, and he was jealous that Hyrule had all this stuff, and he wanted that for his people. He went about it in the wrong way.
Right?
But he wanted, I mean, he wasn't just some asshole.
The power hungry.
I mean, every other Legend of Zelda game, Ganon is just this asshole, you know? I would like for there to one day be a Legend of Zelda game that didn't have Ganondorf as the primary villain. That would be awesome.
Well, we got Skyward Sword.
Yeah, but, I mean, let's be honest. Demise is basically Ganon. Or I should say Ganon is basically Demise. Okay? They're basically the same dude, except Demise is kind of is a bit more powerful than Ganon will ever be.
Yeah.
Because Demise is basically a god, but you know. See, there's some plot holes in Skyward Sword. Like, why didn't they just use the Triforce to wish that Demise never existed? I mean, they could do that.
I guess there are some wishes
They could wish that Ganondorf never is reborn ever again. They could wish that Demise was absolutely destroyed. I mean, I don't know what the repercussions would be, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, I guess that repercussion would be very severe, but yeah, we'll never know.
I don't know. It's at the point now that I hope that sometime in my lifetime they make a Legend of Zelda where you finally get to kill Ganon for good. For once, I just want him to die for good. Because it's at the point now that Ganon's death doesn't really mean much of anything. It's like, oh, it's Ganon. Okay. Master Sword? Okay, I'm going to have to kill you now. I just want to let you know.
Yeah, yeah. You know when Triforce Johnson was going about his theory about the timeline, you can pretty much say that Zelda 2 is actually the last chronological order, the last game in the franchise or in the series.
I always thought it was Link to the Past, but whatever.
Right.
Now, the only reason I say it was Link to the Past is because Link to the Past is the only Zelda to date where Link gets the Triforce and undoes all the damage that was caused by Ganon, right? Undoes everything, which would undo all of it. All of it.
So have you seen have you seen that podcast with Travis Johnson and Levelhead talking about?
Yeah. I'm just saying I didn't agree with his assessment of the timeline. I'm saying that to me it ended with Link to the Past because that's the one that fixed everything. Let's be frank, okay? If we're gonna go into Triforce lore, okay? The only person who is thus proven to, who's been proven to have who's been proven to be worthy to hold the Triforce, who's been able to touch it and not have it either give them a messed up wish in order to save the continuity or broken apart is Link, which proves that unlike Princess Zelda or Ganon, Link not only possesses the Triforce of Courage, he possesses all the other aspects of the Triforce in balance. And that's the key. Balance. Okay? They balance against each other. Link, and he proves it, okay? Link has the wisdom to solve all those damn puzzles. Link has the courage to face those overwhelming odds. Because like Ganon, Link isn't immortal. Like, if he takes too much damage, he dies. Okay? There isn't some magical, there isn't like Link, I'm invincible to everything except for the Trident of Power. And there's nothing like that. Link's like, I got to use the best I can. And finally, Link uses his power uses his power when he has to, not because he can. Which proves that he possesses all three aspects of the Triforce in balance, which is why he can handle the Triforce and it doesn't break apart. Princess Zelda apparently can't handle the Triforce. And Ganondorf, almost every time he tries to touch it, it breaks off into other people.
Right.
So, it's kind of weird that, they do that. But, look, listen. I'm not going to get too in-depth in it because here's the thing. It's not my series. It was Shigeru Miyamoto's series, and now it's Eiji Aonuma's series. I'm looking forward to Zelda Wii U. If you're not going to be watching that, you people need to go watch. You people need to get that game. I reiterate what I said a month ago at E3. If Nintendo can have a working, bug-free demo for Zelda Wii U at next year's E3 and a date that says holiday 2015, they win E3 next year too. They win.
But didn't they basically done that with Skyward Sword? The demo was practically flawless. The only thing that interfered with the demo while it was on stage and showing was outside.
The thing that messed up Skyward Sword is that it was too dependent on motion control. Thing is that when people play a Zelda game, they want to when people play a Zelda game, they want to sit on their couch or sit in their chair and just play the game. They don't want to do all these hand motions and junk. Okay.
I am inclined to agree with you there, but when I actually studied that sword play between Skyward Sword and all the other games, there was some aspects that can't be duplicated with just button. But
No,
yeah,
that's my like. Here's the thing, okay? They
yeah,
focus
yeah.
so much on motion control on Skyward Sword to showcase the motion control plus. But here's the thing: all that time and energy was put into making the motion control work, but you had a friggin' empty world. And one of the great things about The Legend of Zelda is exploring the world. Like you had
I
to
really can't
revisit.
say I really can't say it's an empty world, but I will say that the
You had to revisit dungeons multiple times. You had to revisit areas multiple times. It got
yeah.
very tedious towards the last um, third of that game, and it didn't need to be because if they had just gone with a more traditional control scheme and instead focused on making the gaming world bigger, it wouldn't have felt that empty. There should have been more islands in the world in the sky
In the sky.
above the sky
That's
to explore, and under the clouds should have been a lot better handled. And that was, I mean, that game suffered from that. And look, I'm saying this as someone who has played and owns every single Zelda game, and I don't, except for the Zelda CDI games, and I played those games.
No,
I mean,
no, 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 those shouldn't even exist. Those shouldn't even be in the topic of Zelda.
I'm a huge Legend of Zelda fan. I've played all those games, and I can tell you right now, Skyward Sword. I mean, a lot of things they did very well, but motion control in a Zelda game, I'm like, look, if I can't sit on my couch or in my chair and just play the damn game, that's too much motion control. Okay. Like
Yeah,
motion control was
that's,
pushed so hard in Skyward Sword that it was to the detriment of other aspects of that game. Which is why when I saw which was when I saw Zelda Wii U, I was like, wow, they're actually focusing on making a huge living, breathing world. Which is what Legend of Zelda was always really about. It's this huge living, breathing world. There's people living their lives. Even on a smaller scale, you felt that. Skyward Sword, I mean, okay, Skyloft, those people lived their lives, and there were a few empty-ass islands you could find some rupees on, maybe a few bugs, and, you know, uh, uh, they could have done so much better. But here's the thing. There are no really bad Legend of Zelda games, except for those god-awful Philips CDI ones. But, I mean, the tragedy of Skyward Sword is that it could have been a lot better. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I will agree with you on that one.
It's like Ocarina of Time. I know a lot of people love Ocarina of Time. They love Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time. Ocarina of Time. Look, Ocarina of Time has a few issues that hold it from being excellent. It's great, not excellent. And I mean, part of that was the technological limitations of the time. Part of
Yeah,
that was that they forced you to play as a little kid. Frankly speaking, I don't really care about Kid Link. Fuck Kid Link. Okay, I I don't
oh
like
my
the
gosh! Now,
I
okay,
don't
now you're really getting on my bad side,
I
my
don't
young friend
like
here.
I don't like having to play. No, because here's the thing. Okay, you get the Kokiri sword. Your most powerful weapon as a Kid Link in Ocarina of Time is the Kokiri sword. Now they fixed a lot of that in Majora's Mask. Okay, I'll be honest with you. They fixed it, but you shouldn't have to make what is essentially an expansion pack in order to fix something that shouldn't have been broken in the first place. Like, I mean, personally, I think they should have either gone with having Kid Link be throughout the entire game or have Adult Link be in the entire game. Like, I know they were trying to appeal to a certain audience and they wanted to have, like, that cute aspect of being a kid, but I mean, Kid Link wasn't doing it for me. Like Kid Link's only real cool thing was that he could go into small holes that Adult Link couldn't go into. And I'm like, that's not really like Twilight Princess handled that a lot better. Like when people ask me about Twilight Princess, if you really want to know what Twilight Princess is what they wanted to do for Ocarina of Time. The technology didn't let them do it. Except they exchanged the lame Kid Link with Wolf Link, because Wolf Link is so much cooler than being a little kid. Oh man, I gotta play this song. I'm a little kid. I can't even use a real shield. It's on my back. Ha ha! Yeah. Look at my little shitty. Look at my little dagger that I use as a weapon because it's so shitty. I have to hit this enemy like 8 times. When if I was an adult and had the bigger on sword, I'd kill him in 2 hits. Like Wolf Link was so much cooler. Like Twilight Princess is what they wanted to do in Ocarina of Time, but the technology just didn't let them. Like Ocarina of Time, Ocarina of Time, you save the Zora's Realm. They're like, it'll go back to normal eventually. In Twilight Princess, you save the Zora's Realm. You really save the Zora's Realm. Okay, it's like, wow, I fixed this place. I feel accomplished. You save the Gorons. You actually save the friggin' Gorons. You know. And that's what I prefer my games to be. Like, here's the thing: you want that sense.
I get what you're saying, Red Fox.
You want that sense of accomplishment, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I really do agree with you on that. But then there's also this. You want to achieve the greatest thing, but there's also a time that there's something that you have to sacrifice.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of a balanced situation here, and for the most part, Nintendo has accomplished well in that regard. But yes, you will still. It seems like no matter what the type of game, you will still have some certain drawbacks coming to it. Oh, and also, it also comes down to preference. But
yeah,
there I digress. Because I see the flaw. I kind of see the flaw. Actually, I see the flaw in both Young Link and the Wolf Link form. But for what they accomplish of their perspective field, they've done it right. But yeah.
All I'm gonna say is this. Here's the thing, okay? And here's here's the thing. When I first played Ocarina of Time, I thought it was an awesome game. And I still think it's a great game. But the thing is that
not a masterpiece.
Other Legend of Zelda games have come out, and unlike many other companies that basically just rest on their laurels with their IPs or make worse games in the franchise, Sony in here. Excuse me.
You couldn't let that go.
No, I couldn't. Nintendo consistently tries to make better versions of their games. Like, here's the thing. Kid Link, to me, I think they could have done Ocarina of Time so much better if they started as Kid Link, and then you go to a point in the game where basically you're aging, everyone else is not. That would have been a really interesting thing. Like, Link is like an adult, and everyone else is like these little kids, and he's finally got to leave the forest. That would have been a better lead-in than just having you be this little kid. To me. But they were going after a specific demographic. They had a designer. What?
Let me say this. Would you say that same way if you're actually in the age of a teenager right now, and play the Legend of Ocarina of Time right now?
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you why I'd say that. I'm gonna tell you why I said that. I would say that even if I was a teenager, is because when I was younger, one of my favorite movies was Highlander, and one of the concepts.
That's awesome.
One of the concepts of that movie is that, like, in the beginning, is that, like, he's ageless, and he sees his wife grow old and die in front of him. And that is a very interesting concept to know that you're going to love someone that you form these relationships, but you see them grow old and die. It would have been an interesting concept if Link had just started out as a kid in that game, and then instead of that whole cop out where you were locked away in the tent, I kept you here, and somehow I pierced your ears while you were asleep.
Yeah, that was rather
I don't know,
strange.
and how the earring mystically changes ears depending on how the camera's situated. But but I think it would have been better had they just like if they had just like had him go back to the forest, right? And the forest seals behind him, and he ages in the forest, and like they watch him grow up, and like literally they see him grow up, and they have to stay there in the forest. Which that all that stuff was BS anyway, because at the end of Ocarina of Time, they leave the forest and hang out at the big party after they seal Ganon in the void between worlds, which was not a good idea because he's always getting out or escaping, or I mean, just really, you guys have to figure out a better way of dealing with Ganondorf than just sealing him in the void between worlds. It's annoying. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I just thought that would have been. Look, listen, I'm not saying it's not a good game. It's a very good game. It's just it could have been better. Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
There's only 3 perfect games in my opinion, like perfect Nintendo games that have like almost like if they have a flaw, it's so minor it's almost non-existent. Super Mario World for the SNES, Link to the Past for the SNES, and um
Earthbound?
no,
Oh.
Chrono Trigger. That's it.
Oh,
Those are my only 3 perfect games. Like every other game could have been better. It's good, it's great, it's excellent, could have been better. Donkey Kong Country 64, great game. Could have been better if they had to let you just switch Kongs on the fly so you could collect those damn bananas instead of going back to the barrel, switching, and then coming back and then having to. It was just a big pain in the ass.
because that game, Donkey Kong 64, could have handled better if it actually had a 2-player co-op or something like that. Yeah.
It was designed to be a single-player game. It had tons of content for single players. The multiplayer was the 4-player co-op, 4-player multiplayer split screen, which was pretty good. Like, here's the thing: this was a Rare game back when Rare was on top of their game. The 4-player split screen battle mode was really good. But I mean, there's a lot of games that are really good that could have been better. Like, I know a lot of people really like Super Mario 64. Could have been better if they had a writable Yoshi. And maybe like, okay, I'll tell you what Nintendo could do that would really make my day. Take Super Mario 64 DS, upscale it, put it on the Wii U eShop for like $20. I would buy that because that is basically, it has Yoshi in it. Add a writable Yoshi. That game would be totally worth it. But that's just my own personal opinion.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I mean, there are very few perfect games. Like, third parties, there are very few third-party games that I consider, even games that I love dearly. Like, I love Psychonauts. It's not a perfect game, though. It has some issues, but its issues are overcome by the fact that the game is very memorable, and the game itself is very memorable, and like, even if you don't like Psychonauts, if you've played through it, there's something that just, it has a lot of character. Like Linda the Hagfish, that's her name, by the way. Like, once you save her, she's like, "You may call me by my real name, my people's name for me." It's like, what's that? Linda. It's just like, what the hell? Linda the Hagfish? And then there's Manny, or Roberto, the dude who basically, like, he has these psychological hang-ups where, like, the girl that he liked betrays him, but actually it's like, it's like he's the bull. Like you think you're trying to help the bull fighter kill the bull. Turns out he's the bull. You have to help the bull fight the bullfighter. I mean, the game is just really memorable. It has really awesome levels. And Psychonauts is another game that looks really kiddie. You get into it, it's dark as hell.
Yes.
Really good game, though. I would advise anyone, if you have a GameCube, get Psychonauts for the GameCube. If you have a PS3 or Xbox 360, get it on the eShop or whatever the hell they call their eShops. The PSN for the I don't know what live, the arcade, whatever the hell they call it on Xbox. I don't own an Xbox. I don't know what you call that damn thing.
Okay, this is a first for me because I never did not know that Psychonauts was on the GameCube at that time. Until now.
Well, EA was the publisher for that game, and like typical, EA torpedoed the shit out of that game. They didn't advertise it. It was on PS2, GameCube, and Xbox One, and PC. Basically, right now you can get Psychonauts for cheap. And I would tell anyone, get that game, because I want Tim Schafer to make a Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2. Tim Schafer is making a sequel to Costume Quest. Costume Quest is a really good game, but you know what? I really want Psychonauts 2. And then maybe Brutal Legend 2. But I really want Psychonauts 2, because they left us on a cliffhanger at the end of Psychonauts, and I have to know what happens. I need to go into people's minds and help their psychological baggage. I need to use TK Punch.
Okay, now you're just creeping me out with the whole going into people's mind.
Well, that's what you do in Psychonauts. You go into people's minds.
I know.
Deal with their issues.
Yeah, I know.
But it's really dark, though. It's really dark.
Actually, from the little things that I've seen from that game, I know that it's crazy, wacky, twisted, and even dark.
It's Double Fine, baby. Like, here's the thing. Like, Double Fine is one of my favorite indie developers, even though like they're not quite as small as a lot of other indie studios. They're still indie. I like Double Fine. I like Tim Schafer, because like here's the thing. I'm a huge proponent of following people who have a track record. And if I know your track record, if you've proven that you have the chops, because when I was in high school, I was in the band, and then I left the band after my first year because like they weren't quite advanced enough for me, and they didn't play the type of music I wanted to play. And so I joined the jazz ensemble my second year in my sophomore year. And then my junior year, I started the blues ensemble. So I was in the jazz ensemble and the blues ensemble. And let me tell you something. There's a little musical term called chops, which is like you can prove you got the talent. Yeah. But I mean, I like developers and development companies that prove they have the chops. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I have zero respect for Microsoft is that they never proved they have the chops in this business. They never. I mean, the Xbox One is gonna force them to have the chops because they don't have the money. You can't pay someone to buy your shitty consoles. you have to entice them with games. And Microsoft is gonna have to bring the games. They can't
and games that has good design, at least decent design.
That bullshit that they pulled at Nintendo's Best Buy E3 event last year with the dude. I remember they showed a video of the dude. He had the Xbox shirt on. He's like, you can buy an Xbox One, and these people are like, get the fuck out of here. But anyway, Microsoft is gonna have to prove they have the chops to hang, and Sony proved they had the chops with the PS1 and the PS2, and then they promptly took their chops and threw them into a meat grinder and ground them up and fed it to the dogs with the PS3 and now with the PS4. So
it's at that for Sony, basically, in my eyes, to me, Sony had the building blocks, but they didn't know what to do with it afterwards.
Well, they don't have the chops. Like,
Yes.
okay, Sony's first-party studios are garbage now, so it's not like they can make the games that prove they have the chops. Their hardware is pretty good, but I mean, hardware without software is like having a car with no gas in it.
Okay.
What's the use of having a car with no gas in it?
Or more like their hardware are too good that yeah, people can't learn from it.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's too good. It's just like, here's the thing, okay? The only people making money on PS4s right now are third parties. That's it. I
Yeah.
mean, what's the use of having a business if the only people who make money on it is everyone but you? That's asinine. That's stupid. And then you have Microsoft. Microsoft has had so many chances to prove they have chops. They bought Rare, and I was like, man, if I remember when they bought Rare, I was like, man, if Microsoft can crank out a decent Rare title, I'm gonna so buy a Microsoft console. I wanted to buy a Microsoft console.
I would have as well.
And then they came out with all that bullshit from Rare, and I was like, no.
I can't believe the only saving grace of Rare was Viva Pinata.
That's it. Viva Pinata 1 and 2.
And you know what? Here's the funny part. I did not know from the first time I saw Viva Pinata. I did not know that it was actually from Rare by Microsoft. The only time I was actually introduced to Viva Pinata was from the TV show from Fox Network.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw Viva Pinata, I was like, this looks like a Nintendo game.
And you know what?
It looked like something on a Nintendo title. It looked like a Nintendo title.
And the thing is, it actually has the essence of Nintendo.
Yeah, which really makes me think, how long were they working on that game? I think that was a discarded idea that they got from Nintendo, and they were like, shit, we gotta produce something for Microsoft. I mean, like, in Mass Effect, Mass Effect, I was like, man, I'm gonna get Mass Effect for the Xbox One, but then they had all that shit behind the paywall, and I was like, I'm not buying Xbox Live just so that I can do stuff on a system. And then they had, it's just always some bullshit. Like, here's the thing: there's always some bullshit attached with Microsoft's consoles. Like, in my experience, it's always like I wanted to get an Xbox 360, but then they had the Red Ring of Death. I'm like, fuck this system. I've owned a lot of Nintendo consoles, a lot of Sony consoles. I've never had a console fail on me like that, and that's some bullshit. If you have a console that does that, that's not something you buy and put in your house.
You know what? The only time a console died on me was actually the GameCube. But the reason why it died on me, because that was the very first console I actually treated very poorly.
Oh.
And you know what? And the thing is, I was even amazed that it still survived after 6 years of my purchase. I was like, dang.
You're torturing that poor console.
Yes, and the thing is, it was, I guess, that time period of my life, I was really rough on myself as well. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I own all of my original consoles. The only console that I have two of, not because of regional differences, but literally just two of, is I have two GameCubes, a purple one and a silver one. And the only reason I have I lost one of the component cables, and I didn't feel like buying a new one, so I just got a used GameCube for like $25, and it came with all the stuff, and I just used the cable. So basically, Yeah. So basically, and it
Yeah,
came with the
I have to correct myself. Actually, my GameCube still works. It just can't read the disc. Yeah. So actually,
mine.
it did
Mine
not
doesn't
die.
even do that. All my GameCubes, even the one like all of my Nintendo stuff works really well. My Nintendo handhelds still work. My Nintendo consoles still work. My Sony consoles still work. My Sega consoles still work. Um, let's see who else. But then again, I only have like Sega Genesis and Master System Duo, Sega CD, Sega Dreamcast. So that's three. That's only three of them. So, my Atari system. Well, my first Atari system broke. My second one works.
Cool.
But I think we have dragged this on long enough.
You
I
know
think
what?
it's time to wrap it up.
Before we close off, I have one thing to say.
Go for it.
Now, I will definitely not name this YouTuber here, but he brought up a very interesting question, and that question is, and it was been bugging me for years after, but he asked, and especially to the Nintendo fans, which is me, uh, uh, yeah, he asked, why do we put why do we put Nintendo on such a high regard than the rest of the third parties? And you know what? I agree.
Yeah,
We
you
do.
answer it first.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I agree. I do put Nintendo on a different standard than third parties, and and to be fair, I actually give more leeway to the third parties than Nintendo. For one, those games are actually good. There's basically, there is little to no design flaw when a game is made by Nintendo. With third parties, now after the seventh generation, after the whole online gaming started to be the whole standard thing,
Mm-hmm.
I actually gave third parties a whole lot of leeway that, you know what, I say fuck them now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it.
Well, I'm just gonna answer that question very simply. Um, I don't give high regards to Nintendo because I'm biased. I give not high regards to Nintendo because they earned it. See, you have to earn respect. You don't just get it. Okay? Nintendo basically came into the business when it was a broken piece of shit because Atari destroyed it by flooding the market with inferior games. I'm not saying that all Atari's games were garbage that came to this Atari system were garbage and
Oh
Coleco and
no,
television. No, but if there were 10 games that came out that month, 3 of them would be good. The other 7 would be shit. And for every asteroids, for every Cubert, for every Frogger, there was like 7 garbage games or just half-ass made games that were just like who would why would you make this? Atari basically took the video game market. If it was a vehicle, it was a car that they wanted to get the insurance money out of, so they committed arson against it, drove it in a ditch, and said it was an accidental fire. And that's what they did to the video game industry. Nintendo came in and rebuilt this shit. They made it better, stronger, like the Bionic Man. They made it better, stronger, tougher. Put some restrictions on it so these third parties knew their place and didn't flood the market with inferior products. They continue to help mold this industry into what it is today. And then in came Sony. Sony basically used the video game industry to push their formats off on people. So the PS1 was CDs, the PS2 was DVDs, the PS3 was Blu-ray, the PS4 is going to be their streaming service. All this shit was used to basically push a format. Xbox saw how much money they thought Sony was making. See, this is how stupid Microsoft was. They thought they were making all this money. They're like, oh, we can't let them take over the living room. And they jumped into the party. And Microsoft spent like a huge amount of money establishing a foothold in the video game industry. Hasn't really helped them because they still haven't really made money, but whatever.
Yeah.
But we're talking about third parties versus Nintendo. Nintendo knows that they are the best first party studio in the industry. But you want to know why they're the best first party studio in the industry? Because they're always striving to perfect their craft. They know they're not perfect, and they try to minimize the flaws, maximize the strengths. That's what you do when you want to master something. If you look at someone who's an expert at their field, they're constantly trying to learn more about what their focus is. They aren't like, oh, I'm an expert now, fuck it, I know everything. That's the problem. That's what really pisses me off with a lot of these half-assed third parties. They're arrogant. They're really arrogant, and they have no reason to be. Like Bethesda. I recently pulled out some of my old Bethesda games, mainly Arena and Daggerfall. And I was looking in the boxes, and guess what? I have floppy I can't even install these games anymore because you need a floppy disk. You need a floppy disk in order. You need an older computer to use it, but you need a floppy disk in order to patch the fucking thing because it's so broken. This was back in the day when patches were like, when the actual game would be like 300 megs, and that was a huge game back in the day. 300 megs was huge. It would be like maybe like 120, maybe 100, 150 megs, and the patch would be would be on like a 10 meg disc, floppy, like 3-inch diskette.
And you think
and
that? You think that would? Sorry, go on.
No, and you basically for Arena you had to call in and order a patch 3-inch disk drive disc to patch it. It was so broken, and then they just sent a disc with the later editions of Daggerfall, and these bastards have the nerve to be arrogant about their games. Well, they didn't make their... Fuck you, Bethesda. I'm sorry. Fuck you and your broken games, because all of their games are broken pieces of shit. All of their games that are built with their massive engines for their massively detailed open-world games, broken pieces of shit. Arena was a broken piece of shit. Daggerfall, broken piece of shit that had to be both of these games had to be patched after the fact to fix them. Morrowind had to be patched after the fact to fix it.
Oh my god.
Oblivion had to be patched after the fact to fix it. Skyrim had to be patched after the fact to fix it. Basically, if you get a Bethesda game that's massive open world, you just automatically know, well, it's going to take at least 6 months to a year to make this shit playable.
And
it's like going with a girl that you know is going to be filled with drama. You just know you're going to have drama when you deal with her. So you already know, well, I'm going to have to get used to having someone storm out of the room yelling at me.
And then you would think developers, and I mean, yeah, Bethesda themselves, you would think they would actually get out of that freaking mentality. And they're still doing it for decades, which...
No.
Yeah.
And they're all arrogant. EA, arrogant.
You know what?
Activision, arrogant.
When you see it, there are times Nintendo becomes complacent. You know what? I'd rather have a company be complacent than freaking arrogant.
Let me put it this way. Nintendo, when they're complacent, their games are still 120 times better than the shit that comes from most third parties. When Nintendo's just half-assing it, their half-ass game is still better than a lot of third-party games. That's why I like Nintendo. Because even when they're not trying, their shit's still better than most of what's coming from third parties. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going to get mad. They're going to say,
people
how dare you say that
both of us
about third parties? And third parties used to not be like this. Third parties used to not be like this. You want to know when third parties became like this? during the PS1 era.
When they actually had some sort of, no, when they tasted that power.
Okay? When basically, okay, because when Sega was around, they made games that were quality. When the PS1 came around, they started just putting any shit on any console, and they didn't care. For example, I have Gauntlet Legends for my N64. It's a great game. It's the superior version of Gauntlet Legends on a home system. But guess what? I also have it on the PS1. PS1 game has FMV scenes in it. That's its only plus. It graphically, it looks like someone vomited on the screen and put food coloring on it and made it look like people moving around doing stuff. But the N64 gets crap because, you know, it's only 64 bits. It was using cartridges. Bullshit.
Face palm.
I like when people say that. It uses cartridges. And just another quick thing before we wrap this up. I'm a retro gamer. I'm going to tell you what a retro gamer is, okay? A retro gamer is someone who plays games on a console that if the medium for it or the console itself breaks is not easily or readily replaced or available. So believe it or not, the PS1, PS2, and PS3 are not retro consoles. I know what some people are going to say, but it's old. Let me tell you something. If you break your PS1 disc, you can burn another one. Literally, you can burn another PS1. Same thing with the Dreamcast. Look, my Skies of Arcadia copy for my Dreamcast disc, I had played that game so much that the disc got scratched. Same thing with my Grandia, my first Grandia game. Scratched the hell out of those discs. I just burnt another one, put in a universal chip in my Dreamcast a long time ago, and it played just burnt a CD. Dreamcast was easily moddable. No problem. Now, if my Super Mario World cartridge gets messed up, I have to do a lot more shit to fix that than to fix a CD, which can be easily burned or rewritten. And it's a soft, in some cases, it's a soft mod to get the thing to run the thing. So, believe it or not, you know, cartridges are retro technology. Your 3DS, yeah, it's weak, but guess what? It's a retro gaming device, because guess what? Those cards are cartridges. You're still using cartridges.
Yeah, when people say that everything from the past needs to die out, and I'm like, no, there's something of the past that is actually needed to be saved or needed to be preserved.
I'm just saying, I get tired of this BS from people. Oh, I'm a retro gamer. I play on a PS2. That's not a retro console. Okay, I'll tell you what, Junior. Come back when you can tell me what a cue card is, and then we'll talk about retro gaming. Okay? You show me. Look. If you don't understand this phrase, hey man, my cartridge wasn't working, so I blew into it and then put it back in there, and it started working again. If you don't understand that, you are a retro gamer. You need to go sit your ass down, Junior.
Oh boy.
But that's just how I feel. I just want to get that off my chest. We're going to wrap this up with our final introductions. We feel sorry that our third host was unable to join us for this bullshit podcast. We hope that we can get him on our next time, where we will hopefully be covering bullshit.
More bullshit that pops up.
Oh, actually, I was thinking we go for bullshit from third parties, since we touched on it so very deftly at the end of this one. So we'll focus primarily on third-party bullshit next week. So I guess you'll give your sign-off, Triple M?
This has been Triple M, and as the Lakito brothers would say it, signing out.
Um, this is Mr. Red Fox. As once again, it's not as long as you enjoy playing your games. It doesn't matter what other people think. And so, game on, and good night.